The moment Su Jie's primordial spirit took shape, numerous vague and fleeting images flashed through his mind. They seemed to be the familiar figures of many humans, apes, and even the memories of animals and fish. In human consciousness, the island that rises above the water represents an individual's conscious mind, while the submerged part of the island represents the subconscious. As Su Jie awakened his primordial spirit, his subconscious mind also began to stir. Humans are not born as blank slates, but rather carry the genetic memories of millions of years. Suddenly, Su Jie seemed to see the lives of his ancestors in ancient times, apes making fire by drilling wood, beasts hunting for prey, and even earlier memories of the oceanic origins of life, where large fish competed in the vast seas. These were fragments of genetic memory. The memories he saw were pieces of his body's ancestral evolution passed down through generations. The existence of the primordial spirit, being aware of the past 500 years, is not an empty claim. But these memories were too vast, and the moment Su Jie's primordial spirit revived, it automatically blocked and eroded all these memories to avoid affecting his true self. So this is what the primordial spirit is. Su Jie slightly clenched his fist, looking at it from the perspective of Taoism. Only those who have achieved the primordial spirit are considered to have found the Tao. Otherwise, one's body is nothing more than a stinking sack of flesh, merely a fake person. Su Jie's thoughts continued to expand, and his primordial spirit leaped out of the physical shell. At this moment, Su Jie's divine soul still resembled a child, but the final pair of eyes had also been successfully enlightened, making him look like a complete child, a Q version of Su Jie as a child. The sunlight shined upon the primordial spirit, and all Su Jie felt was a warm and exceedingly comfortable sensation. In the past, Su Jie's divine soul would feel uncomfortable in sunlight, typically only coming out to wander at night. Su Jie's consciousness was immersed, and his thoughts gradually began to connect with this world, feeling as if his soul could touch some form of intangible existence. His eyes shimmering with golden light, Su Jie saw what are called the traces of the Tao in this world. It was a concentrated mass of a type of spiritual quality energy, with no potential energy, no movement, and no sound, light, shape, or color. It was silent and unmoving. But as soon as Su Jie tried to observe, his primordial spirit began to tremble violently, as if continuing to observe would annihilate his soul. However, just as Su Jie's primordial spirit touched a corner of the Tao, something in his storage bag flickered. The ancient mirror that had helped Su Jie travel between two realms transformed into a phantom image and directly collided into Su Jie's primordial spirit. Startled, Su Jie had no time to react when suddenly the whole world seemed to change. No, the Tao was not motionless or colorless. Shock filled Su Jie's mind. The Tao was indeed in motion, like a vast and boundless river flowing through this world. The reason he felt the spiritual quality of the Tao was static was purely because his primordial spirit was too weak. Compared to the Tao, his primordial spirit was like plankton dwelling in the great ocean, lacking even the most basic brain structure and merely drifting along the current. To his primordial spirit's point of view, the entire world appeared static and colorless, akin to the principle of observing the sky from the bottom of a well. This ancient mirror. Su Jie looked toward the ancient mirror within his primordial spirit, his heart more shocked than even when he achieved the primordial spirit. This ancient mirror had actually allowed his primordial spirit to glimpse the true form of the Tao. Any magic artifact that could touch the Tao, no, even magical treasures, hardly ever come into contact with the Tao. Only certain special innate spiritual objects, or indeed genuine innate treasures, can reach the extraordinary domain of the Tao. Even primordial spirit, the achievement of divine soul which most can't reach even in the secret realm, seemed no more than a plankton before the grand Tao. He didn't dare to make contact. Merely a glimpse could have caused Su Jie's primordial spirit to explode. However, once the ancient mirror entered his primordial spirit, Su Jie still dared not touch it, but at least he wouldn't feel like his primordial spirit was about to explode, and he was also able to see the true form of the Tao. All this time, Su Jie thought the ancient mirror was only meant for traveling between two worlds. Now it seemed his understanding of the mirror was still too superficial. Indeed, Even innate spiritual objects probably couldn't manage to traverse two worlds, judging by the significance involved. As Su Jie thought this, his gaze shifted to the battle unfolding outside. The next moment, Su Jie's primordial spirit returned to his body. He pushed open the door and walked into the alley. The battle raging in the alley had reached its climax. The Lantern Ghost and Zhong Shiguan were completely overpowering Ning Xinyue and Xiao Fengyuan. Both were covered with many wounds, and had Zhong Shiguan not wished to capture Ning Xinyue alive to turn her into a ghost, they probably would have given in by now. Brother Su. Xiao Fengyuan was surprised to see Su Jie emerge. If you hadn't come out, we would have had to make a run for it. Ning Xinyue complained with her mouth, but slyly retreated behind Su Jie. After all, Su Jie had defeated Zhong Shiguan once before. Surely he could win again. Hopefully, as Ning Xinyue wasn't too confident. Zhong Shiguan. Suddenly, Su Jie called out, drawing Zhong Shiguan's attention to himself. Meeting a nemesis does inflame one's wrath. It is you, after all. You sure made me search? Zhong Shiguan said through gritted teeth. His eyes ablaze with uncontrollable anger, like an enraged lion. His present plight, having forsaken his physical body to inhabit the painting woman, was all thanks to Su Jie. So upon seeing Su Jie, if glares could kill, but actually Zhong Shiguan's glare could really kill. In his fury, Zhong Shiguan's gaze locked on Su Jie, and suddenly a mirror appeared under Su Jie's feet, and he was bizarrely swallowed into it. This scene not only stunned Ning Xinyue and Xiao Fengyuan but even made the attacking Zhong Shiguan freeze. Haha! Last time you ambushed me with your divine soul. Now you have today, entering my mirror world. No matter how skillful you are, you will be trapped to death inside. Zhong Shiguan was overjoyed. Although he didn't understand why Su Jie didn't dodge or resist, he wouldn't miss such an opportunity. A brass mirror appeared in his hands, and it was containing Su Jie's reflection. Previously, Mo Shiryao herself was trapped in the mirror world, unable to escape no matter what. Zhong Shiguan feared Su Jie's divine soul, but once inside the mirror world, even if Su Jie's divine soul were strong, he wouldn't be able to escape quickly. If he first took care of Ning Xinyue and Xiao Fengyuan, then together with the Lantern Ghost they could defeat him. Su Jie, you idiot! You couldn't withstand a single move. Ning Xinyue stamped her feet in frustration, not understanding the meaning behind Su Jie's actions. Perhaps he's just come out of seclusion and his consciousness is still confused. His combat consciousness hasn't recovered yet. Xiao Fengyuan's heart sank, having thought Su Jie's arrival would turn the tide, only to be met with such an outcome. Su Jie looked at the suddenly changing scenery. The gloomy and damp alley had disappeared, replaced by bizarre, human-height standing mirrors. This space, only several hundred square meters, was densely packed with mirrors. Su Jie's figure appeared in each mirror, and behind each reflection of Su Jie stood a painting woman. At this moment, her arms were strangling Su Jie's neck, thighs, arms, and even directly piercing into Su Jie's internal organs. Su Jie's body burst with spiritual energy, instantly blowing the several hundred square meter space into disarray. However, a strange scene occurred. Su Jie's vision blurred, and the same space appeared before him again. In front of him was a shattered mirror. It was as if his actions had only broken the space within a mirror. The fierce ghost is a rather idealistic existence. For example, in the mirror world, no matter how one tries to break the mirrors, one will find that these mirrors are one layer within another. The large mirrors contain smaller ones, which in turn reflect you into even smaller ones, much like Russian nesting dolls. It is very difficult to escape by brute force. The mirror world, huh? Su Jie looked at his increasingly distorted figure in the mirror, standing still, his hands passing in front of his eyes. Divine Eye! An indifferent voice of Su Jie sounded as his eyes shimmered with divine light. Wherever his gaze fell, the mirrors began to crumble as if affected by some unknown force. This was a power Su Jie's divine soul had gained after enlightenment, capable of penetrating illusion. The mirrors in front of him were in fact mere falsehoods, existing only to trap Su Jie. Raising his head, Su Jie's footsteps lightly moved. With each step he took, more cracks formed in this space. Within Su Jie's sea of consciousness, his chibi primordial spirit shone with a myriad of golden rays, fundamentally shaking the mirror world. When it comes to the level of power, the primordial spirit is far superior to the divine soul. This is an existence that touches upon the heavenly Tao. Even if it's just a microscopic organism in the face of the heavenly Tao, against such a fierce ghost, it's utterly overpowering. When it comes to idealism, is there anything more abstract and pervasive, running through the historical river of the Tianyuan world, than the heavenly Tao? Heavenly Tao, heavenly I, heavenly might. Su Jie brought his hands together, and a bloodline slowly cracked open on his brow, borrowing power from the heavenly Tao by temporarily linking with it. The heavenly Tao and the real world are like two parallel rivers that never cross. Su Jie's physical body is a product of reality, but his primordial spirit can touch the heavenly Tao. In doing so, he created a conduit between the two, allowing the boundless river of the heavenly Tao to leak its power into the river of the real world. Using his primordial spirit as a guide and his physical body as the foundation, Su Jie successfully channeled a trace of the heavenly Tao's might. Just a whiff of the heavenly Tao's aura was enough, and in an instant, the entire mirror world was blown apart. Even the primordial spirit, which can't touch the majestic heavenly Tao, would explode from a few more glances. The painting woman, an idealist existence, was even less resistant. Against the destructive nature of the heavenly Tao, she found it very difficult to resist. The mirror world completely shattered, and Su Jie once again appeared in the real world. Zhong Shiguan looked at Su Jie, who had suddenly appeared before him, his eyes filled with confusion, incomprehension, and astonishment. He never imagined that he had only placed Su Jie into the mirror world for a few seconds before the latter came out. Glancing at the brass mirror in his hand, it was full of cracks. With a light touch, it completely disintegrated. Thinking of trapping me? This thing of yours is not qualified. With a wave of Su Jie's sleeve, the ferocious figure of the thousand-hand centipede emerged, crushing a large number of houses and attacking Zhong Shiguan. Heavenly Ghost Map. Zhong Shiguan's face looked awful as he knew the fierceness of Su Jie's divine soul and did not dare to approach rashly, only managing to throw out a scroll from afar. On the scroll, numerous burial mounds opened up with fierce ghosts crawling out. However, compared to the past, the number of ghosts on this scroll had greatly diminished. Those Su Jie had killed last time had yet to be replenished. 5 elements demon suppressing handprint. Su Jie's expression was calm as he pressed down with his palm, transforming spiritual energy into 5 elements handprints that stamped directly onto the scroll. This time, Su Jie's handprints also carried the force of his primordial spirit. If one were to describe it using gaming terminology, it would be that Su Jie's attack included bonus damage. The 5 elements palm seal struck the scroll, causing the fierce ghosts to stiffen on the spot. Those who intended to crawl out were all deterred and forced to retreat.
Heavenly Thunder, Seal.
Su Jie snapped his fingers, and a series of purple cloud heavenly thunders spread across the scroll. Thunder itself is a force many ghostly beings fear, let alone the heavenly thunders released by Su Jie, which were further empowered by the force of his primordial spirit, making them an even greater restraint against ghosts. The ghostly beings within the scroll wouldn't be able to escape for quite some time. After that, Su Jie's gaze turned towards Zhong Shiguan, with rays of purple light flashing in his eyes. Zhong Shiguan wanted to dodge, but the thousand-handed centipede had already blocked his path, and the purple light ray hit him precisely. In an instant, Zhong Shiguan let out a painful scream. Not only did his body make a sizzling noise as it was eroded, but the divine soul hidden within the painting woman also seemed like it had been splashed with hot oil, emitting puffs of green smoke and causing the luster of his soul to dim and shrink significantly. Why is it said that the secret realm elders, who possess the divine soul, are among the best? It is because their attacks can deliver dual damage, injuring not only the flesh but also the soul simultaneously. You actually broke through. Zhong Shiguan's pupils shrunk to the size of needle tips, revealing a look of terror as he realized the problem. Su Jie's soul had condensed into a primordial spirit, No wonder he could walk out of the mirror world with ease. A Yunling realm disciple condensing a primordial spirit is an ability not even many hidden realm elders possess, leaving Zhong Shiguan speechless with shock. Strange, isn't it? For us demon cultivators, rapid advancement in cultivation is quite normal. As Su Jie spoke, he steadily approached Zhong Shiguan. The more fearful Zhong Shiguan's eyes became. Even with all his life's experience, Su Jie was an absolute top prodigy. A Yunling realm disciple achieving a primordial spirit, he had only heard of such disciples in the long-standing sects of the capital. Such disciples are often called immortal seeds. He never expected to encounter one today. He might have been able to reverse defeat and beat Su Jie when he had not yet condensed his primordial spirit, but now that Su Jie has achieved it, Zhong Shiguan stood even less of a chance. Without a second thought, Zhong Shiguan turned and fled. You managed to escape last time. Do you think you can successfully escape from my hands every time? A cold curve formed on Su Jie's lips as the thousand-handed centipede roared, spewing forth the death decline curse cloud. The terrifying curse cloud enveloped the area, causing Zhong Shiguan's face to turn extremely ugly. He wanted to flee, but Su Jie had already reached behind him, uttering in a cold voice, "Let heavenly might assist me." Boom! A muffled sound echoed from the void as if a pathway to some vast and boundless world had been opened. Su Jie's brow split open with blood, as if a third vertical pupil had opened. The great Tao is the most essential force of heaven and earth. Su Jie, by harnessing the power of the great Tao, was manipulating nature itself, leveraging the power of the surrounding environment. With the strength of Su Jie's primordial spirit, he could only control this level of power for a few seconds, but that was enough. In a single breath, spiritual energy began to surge like a massive funnel, swirling around Su Jie as the center. At that moment, Su Jie was the master of this realm. With a flick of his finger, spiritual energy, under Su Jie's control, cascaded like layers of giant tsunamis, engulfing Zhong Shiguan's body. His body uncontrollably rolled, compressed by the tsunami-like surge of spiritual power. The body of the painting woman, layer by layer, was eroded away until half of her body turned into nothingness. A single strike had severely injured Zhong Shiguan. Right at this moment, the death decline curse cloud spat out by the thousand-handed centipede arrived, hitting the unavoidable Zhong Shiguan. The terrifying curse power of the death decline curse cloud could also affect the ghost. The remaining half of the body of the painting woman progressively aged, her skin becoming wrinkled until she couldn't maintain her human form anymore, transforming into an old dressing table with a brass mirror atop it. This was the true form of the painting woman. A hazy orb of light flew out from it, within which a small human figure could be seen. That was Zhong Shiguan's soul. Su Jie appeared in a few flashes in front of Zhong Shiguan's soul, reached out his hand, and grasped the battered soul in his palm. Spare! Before Zhong Shiguan could finish his plea for mercy, Su Jie had already clenched his fingers, palm thunder erupting in his palm, completely destroying the battered soul. In the sky, having lost Zhong Shiguan's control, the heavenly ghost map also fell, carried in the mouth of the thousand-handed centipede to Su Jie. Having observed the dozens of fierce ghosts in the heavenly ghost map quieting down and burrowing back into the graveyard, Su Jie didn't immediately start studying it but looked towards the dressing table at his feet instead. Fierce ghosts are independent beings, and the death of Zhong Shiguan didn't mean that the fierce ghosts would also die. It simply meant that from having a master before, they had become masterless, wandering wild fierce ghosts. Watching the painting woman's figure slowly reappear in the brass mirror on the dressing table, Su Jie snorted coldly without bothering to be polite. He continuously struck down with purple cloud heavenly thunder, then let the thousand-handed centipede swallow her, temporarily imprisoning her. At this time, Su Jie turned to face another fifth-grade lantern ghost. This lantern ghost was entangled with Xiao Fengyuan and Ning Xinyue. Together, they were suppressing the lantern ghost. Seeing this, Su Jie's primordial spirit left his body and directly controlled the purple cloud heavenly thunder, reinforcing it with the power of his primordial spirit to strike the lantern ghost, causing it to tremble violently. Swiftly, Su Jie appeared in front of the lantern ghost. The white lantern flickered, its blood-red eyes blinking, causing Su Jie's skin to slowly dissolve, as if transforming him into a candle wick. However, with a jolt of his primordial spirit, Su Jie removed all negative effects. Following this, Su Jie, while wielding the heavenly might, had the thousand-handed centipede continuously emit purple light rays to dissolve the body of the lantern ghost. The lantern shifted from white to red and floated mid-air, which was the true form of the lantern ghost. Looking at the lantern before him, Su Jie bit his fingertip, letting a few drops of fresh blood drip out. The fresh blood trickled onto the lantern, immediately soaking in as Su Jie channeled the 9 nether ghost cultivation technique, starting to try taming the lantern ghost. Still trying to struggle, Su Jie's palm pressed on the lantern, which began to float unpredictably, trying to escape Su Jie's control. For these wild, fierce ghosts, especially those that had stayed in the heavenly soul formation for years, it was very difficult to control them. They were not completely wild, at most semi-wild, and were somewhat controlled by Zhou Minzhen, which made it even harder for Su Jie to control them. In response, Su Jie had a simple method, which was to suppress them with his primordial spirit. Compared to the 5th grade fierce ghost, Su Jie's primordial spirit was stronger. Seeing that the opponent was still not behaving, Su Jie took out the 10,000 soul banner, summoned a large number of Yin souls, and began a frenzied attack, devouring and damaging them. Yin souls were also condensed from souls, and were very effective against the consciousness-dependent existence of fierce ghosts. Although they would be eaten like snacks by the lantern ghost in a one-on-one fight, when attacked by thousands together and suppressed by Su Jie, the light inside the lantern gradually dimmed, and one blood-red eye after another extinguished. After several minutes, the lantern finally stopped struggling. At this time, inside the sea of consciousness in Su Jie's mind, he formed a slight connection with the lantern. Su Jie understood that this was a successful capture, and from now on, the lantern ghost would also have Su Jie as its host. However, because of the contract with the lantern ghost, it occupied a large area in his sea of consciousness, which meant that the number of fierce ghosts Su Jie could sign and control was limited. Thinking about it, even Zhong Shiguan, a senior elder of the Heavenly Soul sect, had to rely on the Heavenly Ghost map. Zhou Minzhen also had to rely on the Heavenly Soul formation to barely manage the fierce ghosts, otherwise they could not control too many of them. Su Jie was not disappointed, seeing that the lantern ghost had taken shape. He then had the thousand-handed centipede spit out the dressing table, repeating the previous operation of capturing the lantern ghost, thus forming a contract with the painting woman as well. Thus, Su Jie now possessed 2 5th-grade fierce ghosts simultaneously. Su Jie, with a lantern in his left hand and a brass mirror in his right, chuckled softly, "Evil spirits, reveal yourselves." The moment his words fell, a tall figure, with a chilling gaze, slowly emerged at his left side, taking the lantern from Su Jie's hand. On his right, as the dressing table vanished, the falling brass mirror was embraced by a pair of pale hands. A woman with long hair down to her waist, pale face, and vacant eyes, standing at Su Jie's right side, holding the ancient mirror. These were the lantern ghost and painting woman, now quietly standing on both sides of Su Jie, much like protectors, devoid of their previous ferocity and eerie nature. To be precise, they were like this only in front of Su Jie, their master. Once Su Jie issued an attack command, they would turn into murderous fierce ghosts, slaughtering countless. "You've controlled them?" Xinyue had not disturbed Su Jie just now, but seeing this scene, she could no longer contain her curiosity. "I am a demon cultivator. Meddling with souls should be considered part of my day job, right?" Su Jie smiled and waved his hand. The painting woman appeared in front of Xinyue, taking Su Jie's place to pat Xinyue's head. The cold touch, devoid of any warmth, made Xinyue react like a startled cat, quickly escaping and glaring at Su Jie with irritation. "Brother Su, your strength is progressing faster and faster." Xiao Fengyuan felt quite emotional, as he could barely manage a tie with one of the 2 5th-grade fierce ghosts, and there was a high chance he would fail. After all, fierce ghosts were creatures with exceedingly strange abilities, many of which were hard to combat. You guys rest for a bit, heal your injuries, and then we will head to Han Mansion. It's time to leave this place. With the addition of both the painting woman and the lantern ghost to his forces, and the condensation of his primordial spirit, Su Jie felt more confident about the actions to come. Half a day later, by the time Su Jie arrived, what he saw was the desolate Han Mansion, which seemed to have become a ghost mansion. The open gates appeared to invite every passerby. The characters Han Mansion, carved above the door, were already indistinct, and the lion statues on both sides had fierce expressions with dried, black blood on them. Carrying Qi Shijian in his hand, Su Jie had just arrived with Xiao Fengyuan and Ning Xinyue. They had barely arrived when, coincidentally, footsteps sounded from the other direction. They saw Yu Wenjing, Xiao Guanglian, and Mo Shiyao, the elite disciples from Guanchao Pavilion, Purple Mist Sect, and Miaoyin Temple, accompanied by 12 righteous disciples, appearing before Su Jie at the other end of the street. The two groups faced each other across the street. Ning Xinyue and Xiao Fengyuan had already drawn their Vajra bracelet and Bloodsong spear, while Mo Shiyao took out her wooden fish, and Xiao Guanglian even took out a large quantity of magic artifacts, with the other disciples not willing to show weakness either. Only Su Jie and Yu Wenjing remained motionless. Brother Yuan, since we've all gathered here, presumably you've come to destroy the Array Eye as well. Do you want to join forces to increase our chances of success? Or would you rather fight until both sides suffer and unwittingly become nourishment for the fierce ghosts? The choice is yours. Su Jie looked toward Yu Wenjing, who was born into Guanchao Pavilion and was clearly the leader among the group of righteous disciples opposite him. Associate with a demon cultivator like you and wait to be backstabbed? Xiao Guanglian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Although his severed arm had regrown, he still vividly remembered his grudge from losing a hand and couldn't forget his defeat at Su Jie's hands a few days ago. I forgot to thank you last time. The magic artifact and Qilin crystal silver flower fruit you left behind were very useful. With a faint smile at the corner of his mouth, Su Jie turned Xiao Guanglian's face an eggplant purple, making him feel as though he'd lost all face. Su Jie, the strong among the new generation of Ghost Ridge Palace disciples. Is it you who killed my worthless junior brother, Du Xiaochang? Yu Wenjing's eyes were cold and calm as he intercepted Xiao Guanglian, who wanted to rush forward. I didn't want to, but who told him to willingly seek his own death? Shrugging his shoulders, Su Jie's words caused Mo Shiyao's eyebrows to furrow. She pointed at Su Jie and said, Demon cultivators deserve to be killed by everyone. I will definitely avenge Brother Du with my own hands. Poor Qi Shijian had been fawning over them, and now, imprisoned, Mo Shiyao didn't even mention his name once. Instead, she reacted the moment she heard Du Xiaochang's name. You think you can? Su Jie touched the thousand-handed centipede coiled around his right hand, his meaning clear. If you can't even beat my thousand-handed centipede, how can you talk about avenging him with your own hands? The thousand-handed centipede rose vertically and opened its gaping maw toward Mo Shiyao. Clearly, it also remembered the woman it had fought with, flaunting its martial prowess aggressively. Vile vermin! Mo Shiyao gritted her teeth in frustration. It was unfortunate for her that she truly couldn't beat the thousand-handed centipede. She vividly remembered being chased and forced to hide everywhere during their last encounter. Hey, are you going to fight or make peace? Make it quick. Don't think that we're afraid just because you have more people. If it comes to a fight, our brother Su here can take on 10 of you by himself, Ning Xinyue said, hands on her hips and arrogantly assured with Su Jie by her side. Su Jie couldn't help but turn his head and glare at the young girl. When did I say I was going to fight 10 of them? Ning Xinyue, feeling guilty under Su Jie's gaze, playfully twisted her black hair and quietly stopped interjecting. Heh. Since that's the case, let's join forces then. Yu Wenjing's eyes flickered slightly before he made his decision. Many righteous disciples looked over, but no one objected to this decision, and Mo Shiyao and Xiao Guanglian were also persuaded by the other disciples to agree. From their last fight with Mo Shiyao and Xiao Guanglian, they had recognized the strength of Su Jie and the other two demon cultivators. Especially Su Jie, who could almost be said to have defeated both Xiao Guanglian and Mo Shiyao on his own. His power was extremely formidable, a danger within dangers. If a conflict were to break out here, even if they won, their own side would suffer heavy casualties. And with the entire area covered by the Heavenly Soul Formation, if they were to lose more hands, it would be even more impossible to break out and everyone would die here. A pleasure to cooperate. Su Jie made a cupped fist salute. The two sides had previously been enemies, fighting fiercely as right and evil cannot coexist. But now faced with an even more dangerous enemy, they had no choice but to temporarily cease hostilities and cooperate. Both parties entered the Han Mansion with a trace of wariness toward each other. Within the Han Mansion, huge black steels stood everywhere, carved with dense and numerous magic symbols, emitting a faint glow. Some strangely shaped statues were also placed around the Han Mansion, and as if they were alive, their eyes would move when someone passed by, adding a bit more eeriness and mystery. Merely in a matter of days, the place had become somewhat unfamiliar to Su Jie. The roof tiles were modeled as if they had been sealed for years, and each closely shut courtyard and house, with their doors adorned with bronze rings, seemed to hide ghosts watching Su Jie and his group, exuding cold and eerie vibes, making people unconsciously clench their fists and their heart rate accelerate. Passing through the front hall, they entered a quiet bamboo grove where the bamboo leaves gently swayed in the wind, making a rustling sound. In the depths of the bamboo grove, one could see a quaint pavilion, surrounded by hanging wind chimes that tinkled crisply whenever the breeze blew. Around the pavilion, unlike the quiet and elegant bamboo grove, lay a forest of skeletons. Human heads were trampled into felt, flesh rotted like mud, stuck in the cracks of the ground tiles, with sinews hanging on the walls, the stench spreading all around, a true vision of a human inferno. Everywhere, the corpses thrown by fierce ghosts could be seen forming towering mounds of bodies. As a result, the lingering black resentment and fear enveloped the entire Han Mansion like smoke, and the pavilion inside absorbed a figure shrouded within. That figure had her eyes closed, her beauty once comparable to that of early spring cherry blossoms, but now with her hair flowing in the wind and her red wedding dress torn, as if smeared with a layer of blood, she appeared vividly red as blood. Her long hair fell like a waterfall, covering most of her face, and beneath the wedding dress were visible transparent ankles and embroidered shoes. The surging resentment and yin qi were incessantly absorbed by her and taken into her body, where the deathly aura churned like waves. This was indeed Han Ruyan, but at this moment she was clearly no longer the Han Ruyan of the past. The parents of Han Ruyan, Han Jinghuan and Han Mother, as well as everyone else in the Han Mansion, both young and old, were hung to death near the pavilion, like dried cured meat, including Xie Wenyi, the prince whom Su Jie had once met, as well as his accompanying hidden realm elder Tang Lai, was seen gutted and hung upside down on bamboo, seemingly with the intention to use this method to make the resentment of Han Ruyan, who had passed away, even stronger, and the ghost that would be formed even more fierce. Just as Su Jie and his group entered the bamboo grove, Zhou Minzhen and Gongyang Ji, two hidden realm elders, who had been waiting there, appeared, blocking Su Jie and Yu Wenjing's party from the front and the back. The ghost bride isn't fully cultivated yet. I can't let you disrupt this great event. The short-statured Gongyang Ji stood ahead, his voice echoing a chilling, mocking laugh. Behind him was the silhouette of the ghost bride, Han Ruyan. The resentment and fear of the entire city also needed time to be absorbed and digested. Seeing this tactic, could it be from the demon cultivators of Ghost Ridge Palace who have actually mixed with these people from the righteous sect? Stroking his goatee, Zhou Minzhen's gaze lingered on the thousand-hand centipede wrapped around Su Jie's arm and the multi-legged centipede hanging from Xiao Fengyun's neck for several seconds before he spoke. Why not join our Heavenly Soul sect? With your talents, if you revere me as your master, I might spare your lives. The righteous disciples on guard watched Su Jie and the other two with increasing wariness. We are all demon cultivators. Let's not deceive ourselves and others. You really wouldn't believe such simple acts of instigation, would you? With a calm voice, Su Jie knew this was nothing but Zhou Minzhen's deliberate attempt to sow discord. If he really agreed, what awaited Su Jie would be a betrayal after crossing the bridge, and Su Jie certainly wouldn't trust the promises of a demon cultivator. Get ready to engage. Tall and straight like a pine, Yu Wenjing advanced towards Gongyangji, setting an example for the other righteous disciples. With accelerating steps, a blue tide appeared under Yu Wenjing's feet, an illusion of spiritual power. He stood at the crest of the tidal wave, a 2-meter-long dragon bone pearl water flag rustling vibrantly in his hand. Boom! The wave transformed into a tsunami over 30 feet high, collapsing lush green bamboo trees. At the crest of the tsunami, images of various sea demons and spiritual beasts like crocodiles, poisonous insects, water horses, flood dragons, and Kuanping appeared. Thousands of tides surged forth, hundreds of demons competed in swimming, and the ground trembled violently. Gongyangji's expression suddenly turned solemn as he quickly tore off a necklace around his neck. It was a string of skulls, each the size of a baby's fist. Now the skulls rose into the air, becoming a gigantic specter, several yards across, emitting a glowing green light and biting towards the tidal wave. Blue tsunami and spectral head collided, then the crest of the wave crushed the skull specter. One by one, the sea demons and spiritual beasts roared and tore the skull heads to shreds. Brother Yuan is mighty. Seeing this scene, the morale of the remaining righteous disciples surged. The thought of the Yunling realm opposing the secret realm was exhilarating. Su Jie's eyes also showed a hint of admiration, truly befitting a top disciple of Guanchao Pavilion. Being the foremost major sect in Qingzhou was evident just from Yu Wenjing's performance. From the fundamental robustness of spiritual power, Yu Wenjing was a level above Shao Guanglian and Mo Shiyao. In the heat of battle, even the secret realm seemed pale in comparison before him. Being suppressed by a Yunling realm disciple, Gongyangji's expression was quite unappealing. He quickly channeled the spiritual power in his body, and several fourth-grade fierce ghosts appeared around him, including a fiery phosphorus ghost, a disheveled female ghost with a sinister face. The last one, adult-faced on one side and a woman's face on the back of its head, was a fifth-grade fierce ghost. Brother Yuan will assist you. Everyone shoulder to shoulder. There's no need to talk about the ethics of Jianghu when dealing with these kinds of demon cultivators. Righteous disciples saw this scene and also joined the fight, attacking Gongyangji, surrounding him with a righteous thrashing. Gongyangji suddenly found himself in an awkward predicament as Divine Radiance Taoist skills and magic artifacts suppressed him, and his talismans were thrown in disarray, covering him in dust and dirt. Several fierce ghosts could not possibly match the numbers of disciples, and in the blink of an eye, 2 fourth-grade fierce ghosts were annihilated. Even as a person of the secret realm, Gongyangji couldn't overcome so many high-caliber righteous disciples, particularly Yu Wenjing, who alone was enough to greatly pressure him. Fighting him one-on-one was challenging, let alone facing so many others who were ganging up on him. Useless. Watching these righteous disciples act so arrogantly, Zhou Minzhen snorted coldly and pressed a single hand onto the ground. A strand of sinister power spread out. Inside Han Mansion, one door after another burst open with a loud bang, and from the dark houses, fierce ghosts began to emerge. These were the true reliance of Zhou Minzhen, ghosts drawn in by the heavenly soul formation, and under Zhou Minzhen's command, each of them turned their heads, and after a brief moment of hesitation and confusion, they started moving toward the bamboo forest. He, himself, entered the fray personally, holding the 10,000 soul banner in his left hand and a residual soul sword in his right, with a 6th-grade fierce ghost appearing behind him. This fierce ghost took the form of a pregnant woman with a translucent belly, through which could faintly be seen undeveloped fetuses squirming in struggle, their little hands and feet flailing as if trying to burst out and devour people. 9 Sons Ghost Mother. Su Jie's eyes twitched slightly, recognizing it as a powerful type of fierce ghost documented in the 9 Nether Ghost cultivation technique. Kill! Zhou Minzhen shook the 10,000 soul banner in his left hand, unleashing over 100,000 Yin souls, their numbers so vast that they blanketed the sky, forming a giant black mountain range. The mountain made of Yin souls was 100 feet tall, with many caves and demon holes that looked like they were exhaling demonic chi from the gates of hell, a fearsome sight to behold. The 10,000 soul banner, with 100,000 in souls.
Суес pupils constricted.
This man was not on the same level as Gongyangji and Zhong Shiguan. The mountain range in the sky began to slowly descend, and the in souls, like relief sculptures, remained motionless on the surface of the mountain. A terrifying scene unfolded as the mountain range lowered. The seemingly bottomless caves suddenly lit up with a bloody glow. Suddenly, several righteous disciples collapsed on the ground, their souls sucked out of their bodies and directly pulled into the demon cave, becoming nourishment for the growth of the mountain. Xiao Qian. Su Jie's expression hardened, knowing this situation couldn't end well. He immediately released the 1,000-hand centipede, directing it toward the demon cave mountain, where beams of purple light rays melted pits into the mountain. The bloody holes of the demon cave targeted the 1,000-hand centipede, attempting to absorb its soul. However, the 1,000-hand centipede was a mid-grade, 5-refined poisonous insect and one of Su Jie's life-bound poisonous insects. Its soul was somewhat connected to Su Jie, which was why the death of a life-bound poisonous insect would severely injure its master. Now, Su Jie's soul was a primordial spirit, protecting it from any harm. Quite capable, no wonder you dared refuse me. Zhou Minzhen tossed the residual soul sword into the air, where it rapidly sliced through the air. It was an authentic top-grade magical artifact, especially powerful in the hands of an elder like Zhou Minzhen. With one strike, the sky and earth cried and howled, while blood rained down as if even the heavens and earth were wounded, with the rain of blood pouring down. Junior sister Zhu, brother Xiao, let's act together now. Su Jie tapped his storage bag at his waist, and 3 mid-grade magical artifacts, the heaven-breaking trident, 5 elements tripod, and purple jade sky staff whirled out. The 5 elements tripod exhaled a storm, flashing with 5 elements spiritual power. The heaven-breaking trident traveled through the void, densely covered with talisman inscriptions on its surface. The purple jade sky staff thunderously crashed down, blocking the residual soul sword to the left and right along with the heaven-breaking trident. 3 mid-grade magical artifacts had already been completely refined by Su Jie. Possessing a primordial spirit, he did not expend much effort. Xiao Fengyuan controlled the Bloodsong spear to fly up into the sky, and Ning Xinyue also hurled the Vajra bracelet. A total of 5 magical artifacts collided with the residual soul sword, indeed fighting to a draw. Although at a disadvantage, they could barely contain it so as not to threaten those below. Xiao Guanglian, who was fighting elsewhere, had a very complex look in his eyes upon seeing his own magical artifacts in use. He always felt that Su Jie wielded them as if they were more suited to him. Kill them! Zhou Minzhen waved his hand, and behind him, the 9 Suns' ghost mother placed her hands on her belly and gently patted it. Gulp! A strange noise echoed in the ears of everyone present, and within Su Jie's abdomen, it seemed like something was stirring. Lowering his head, Su Jie's belly eerily swelled up, as a wriggling pale ghost infant chewed on his entrails from the inside. Crack! In the chest cavity, the ghost infant burst through the skin and flesh, holding Su Jie's heart in both hands, and chewed heartily, enjoying the meal tremendously. Xiao Fengyuan and Ning Xinyue turned their heads in shock to witness this horrifying scene. The heart's been eaten, gasped Xiao Fengyuan, his face one of disbelief. Su Jie. Ning Xinyue cried out in panic, rushing forward. 9 Suns' ghost mother, truly worthy of being a 6th-grade fierce ghost. A normal person, with their heart swallowed and entrails hollowed out, would already be dead beyond dead. But Su Jie's expression remained as calm as a placid cloud. From the torn chest cavity, eerie pale fingers wriggled out of the flesh, continuously rolling outward, transforming into Su Jie's internal organs. Eventually, a series of pale corpse hands grew out, grabbing the ghost infant, nibbling away and crushing it into a mass of meat paste, which then dissipated into spiritual power. Immediately after, rows of pale corpse hands pulled at the ribs and flesh on both sides of Su Jie's chest cavity. Like closing a zippered bag, they forcibly sealed the opening. With the jagged wounds on both sides, numerous buds of flesh sprouted, rapidly intertwining and entangling to visibly heal the injury. It's healed. Ning Xinyue covered her mouth in shock. Even with his heart consumed, he acted as if nothing had occurred, stunning her completely. Merely a fatal wound, it still cannot kill me. Su Jie snapped his fingers, and to his left, a lantern suddenly appeared. A towering figure held the lantern, which turned white, with a bold, settled character on it. The lantern ghost turned its gaze toward Zhou Minzhen on the opposite side. The blood-red pupils within the lantern flickered, and Zhou Minzhen's body started turning into wax. To his right, the painting woman touched a brass mirror that reflected his image, attempting to drag him into the mirror world. Using ghosts to deal with me, you're still far from capable. Zhou Minzhen snorted coldly as a hanging corpse appeared behind him, which was a 5th-grade hanging ghost. The coarse hemp rope wound around the painting woman, diverting the brass mirror's beam. The 9 Suns ghost mother also waved her belly, causing the lantern ghost's stomach to uncontrollably swell, as if a ghost infant was pecking inside. 2 5th-grade fierce ghosts under your control, impressive? Zhou Minzhen remarked, looking at Su Jie with an unexpected look in his eyes after the crisis was averted. Controlling fierce ghosts also depends on the individual's divine soul. Even hidden realm elders like Gongyang Ji and Zhong Shiguan can only control 1 5th-grade fierce ghost. The rest of the fierce ghosts are all below the 5th grade. Now a Yunling realm cultivator, which made Zhou Minzhen somewhat puzzled. How he could control 2 5th-grade fierce ghosts. Just 2 5th-grade fierce ghosts? Is this your confidence? Zhou Minzhen was merely curious and not frightened. By his side, the belly of the 9 Suns ghost mother writhed, with infant handprints protruding on it, as if the babies were moving inside. On Su Jie's skin, one after another greenish-purple handprint appeared. Not only on the skin but also on the bones, and even the internal organs, these handprints remained. Su Jie's body shrank, inch by inch, his limbs curled up as if he was about to return to the womb. But it was only a moment. Suddenly, Su Jie's primordial spirit burst into brilliance, and his body reverted to its original state. Only his surface and inside bore many distorted scars. Heavenly thunder! A flash in Su Jie's eyes, streaks of purple cloud heavenly thunder struck down, all hitting the 9 Suns ghost mother, who did not dodge or avoid. 9 small ghost infants appeared around the ghost mother, their mouths gaping into black holes, swallowing up the falling heavenly thunder. Death decline curse cloud. A black light struck the ghost mother, but the one that suffered the damage instantly switched to a tiny ghost infant. The body of the ghost infant decayed and dissipated under the curse, yet the ghost mother remained unscathed, instead opening her arms wide. Become my child. The remaining 8 ghost infants emitted giggling laughter, surrounding Su Jie, holding hands, running in circles. Snap, crack, gurgling. The ghost infants made sounds akin to wild beasts. At the beginning, they seemed unaccustomed, but later the sounds became more and more rhythmic, turning into crisp childish voices, singing a strange nursery rhyme. Little sister carries the cloth doll, goes to the flower garden to see the Japan blossoms. The doll cries for mama, while the little birds in the trees laugh ha-ha. These ghost infants nodded and swayed, holding toys such as cloth tigers, rabbits, rattles, spinning tops, topple-proof dolls, and kites, as if inviting Su Jie to join them. Seeing the ghost infants closing in on him, Su Jie said in an icy tone, "A bunch of evil spirits, you dare to want me to join you? Get lost." Purple light rays burst from Su Jie's eyes. The high temperature did not drive away these ghost infants. They vanished from the spot and reappeared, already clinging to Su Jie, some holding onto his arms, some onto his head, some onto his legs. "This big toy is mine. No, it's mine. It's me, it's me, it's me." The ghost infants started to squabble, trying to tear Su Jie apart. One after another pale corpse hands emerged from Su Jie's body, reaching back to grab the ghost infants, while his body's purple cloud divine thunder kept exploding, mixing with the soul-damaging purple cloud heavenly thunder, instantly turning one infant ghost into ashes. Su Jie also took out the 10,000 soul banner, waving it to bring forth the blood river, annihilating one ghost infant that couldn't dodge in time. The lantern ghost appeared before a ghost infant. The lantern's light bathed it, turning it into melting wax. The painting woman used herself as a mirror to drag a ghost infant into the mirror world. Rip. Su Jie also suffered. One arm and one leg were torn off. The ghost infants ran back to the ghost mother with Su Jie's limbs. The ghost mother showed a sorrowful expression, as if mourning for the dead ghost infant. It's really troublesome. Su Jie glanced at the severed limbs, inheriting the self-healing ability of the thousand-hand centipede. It accelerated recovery from the injuries, with flesh buds crazily sprouting on the regenerating limbs. Yet the process consumed an immense amount of spiritual power. For a 6th-grade fierce ghost, even Su Jie, who possessed a primordial spirit, found the fight extremely difficult. "You've got quite some endurance, but this is where it ends," remarked Zhou Minzhen with a cold laugh. It was because of the numerous ghosts within this heavenly soul formation that he truly felt confident. Just at this moment, the ghosts that had walked out of the houses in the Han Mansion finally reached the battlefield. These ghosts ranged from 1st grade to 6th grade, especially the 3 6th-grade ghosts, the Sword Labor Ghost, the Headless Ghost, and the Starving Ghost. Their strength was not inferior to that of the 9 Sons Ghost Mother. As for the 5th-grade Fierce Ghosts, they numbered over a dozen, while the other 4th grade, 3rd grade, down to 2nd grade and 1st grade Fierce Ghosts, totaled more than 1,000, forming a terrifying ghost army. Such a ghost army was something not even a combined force of Su Jie and Yu Wenjing could handle. "Now, do you understand the gap between us?" The voice of Zhou Minzhen was cold. The heavenly soul formation actually wasn't his but belonged to the heavenly soul sect, and he had merely borrowed it to influence these semi-wild ghosts inside the formation. In the heavenly soul sect, the heavenly soul formation was the sect's ultimate asset. It was said that the most powerful heavenly soul formation even housed a 9th-grade fierce ghost. Compared with Ghost Ridge Palace, the heavenly soul formation was equivalent to Insect Valley, which could usually be used for disciple training and capturing fierce ghosts. During a fight, it could also be carried around for deployment, controlling the semi-wild fierce ghosts inside for attacks. The expressions of Xiao Fengyuan, Yu Wenjing, and Mo Shiyao all changed drastically at the scene. Indeed terrifying. The voice of Su Jie fell, and the painting woman and the lantern ghost attacked Zhou Minzhen once again. As the lantern ghost and the painting woman were mobilized, Su Jie also made his move. His primordial spirit connecting with heaven and earth, tapping into the nearby Tao River, allowing a wisp of Taoist aura to descend upon the world. As a bloodline slit opened at the top of his skull, Su Jie soared high, shouting, "Heavenly might, aid me." With a thunderous crash, Su Jie's entire aura surged, seemingly becoming the center of this world. Zhou Minzhen was shocked to his core, finally understanding why Su Jie could control 2 5th-grade ghosts. This man, clearly of the Yunling realm in cultivation, possessed a primordial spirit. There was no mistake that was the effect of the primordial spirit. Using the heavenly might for oneself, managing the flow of spiritual power of a small part of the world, was something only a primordial spirit could do. While Zhou Minzhen was shaken, a fissure at Su Jie's glabellar region wildly absorbed spiritual power, and eventually, Su Jie, like an air-to-ground missile, swiftly flew through the sky. As Zhou Minzhen watched with splitting eyes, Su Jie flashed past one ghost after another, landing in front of a pavilion in the bamboo forest, and slapped his palm on Han Ruyan's top of the skull. With that palm strike, the spiritual power of this world surged like a tide. Han Ruyan was the array eye of the heavenly soul formation. When she was struck by Su Jie, it was as if the array eye was damaged. Sizzle. At that moment, in the sky dome above, the black fog enveloping East Victory City gradually dissipated, revealing the long unseen blue sky to the view. The formation has been broken. Run quickly. Those fierce ghosts are catching up. Ha! We can finally leave. The disciples were overjoyed, gazing at the blue sky and white clouds, seeing hope for survival continue. Brother Su's righteousness is acknowledged. I owe you a favor today. Let's meet again another day. Yu Wenjing smiled and clasped his hands, disengaging from the battle with Gong Yongji and rising to the high skies with a wave carrying many disciples.
Suye huri up.
Ning Xinyue also cheered up, following Xiao Fengyuan as they climbed onto the back of the thousand-handed centipede. ready to make their escape. However, to Ning Xinue's surprise, Su Jie had been standing still ever since he struck that palm. Su Jie didn't want to stay, he simply couldn't move. As he struck Han Ruyan's body, his spiritual power erupted like a volcano. The woman's eyes, which had been tightly closed all along, slowly opened to reveal a pair of eerily vacant ones. Their gazes met, and Han Ruyan, with her arms on Su Jie's shoulders, unleashed a weirdly cold force that pervaded his body, making him stiff on the spot. "Break free for me." Su Jie's primordial spirit emerged, shining brightly with golden light as the purple cloud heavenly thunder exploded, forcibly regaining control and breaking the stiffness. Just as he turned around, Zhou Minzhen, with a massive army of ghosts, charged crazily towards him. "I swear to flay you alive." Zhou Minzhen was going mad. He had not expected Su Jie to possess a primordial spirit, let alone that Su Jie would head straight for Han Ruyan. The ghost bride, not yet fully cultivated, awoke. She was currently a 5th-grade fierce ghost. If things had gone as he planned, with a month of cultivation, he could have elevated the ghost bride to the 6th or even 7th grade. Before him was the sinister ghost bride, and behind him was the massive ghost army brought by Zhou Minzhen. Su Jie's chance for retreat had been lost. High above in the sky dome, the 1,000-handed centipede constantly blasted purple light rays and spit death-decline curse clouds, while Ning Xinue and Xiao Fengyuan did their best to block them. The lantern ghost raised its lantern, and one by one, the painting women emerged, but against the massive ghost army, it was merely a drop in the bucket. Their defense line was instantly torn apart. Su Jie furrowed his brows, with Zhou Minzhen right at his heels and Han Ruyan eerily blocking his path. Su Jie's divine sense kept spreading, searching for an escape, but suddenly discovered that the eye-shaped curse on Han Ruyan's jade-like back, due to the recent surge of spiritual energy, had become greatly blurred. That was the curse Zhou Minzhen used to control Han Ruyan, ensuring the successful cultivation tied to their contract. With the ghost bride's cultivation process disrupted by Su Jie, the curse rune also withered simultaneously. An audacious idea suddenly sprang into Su Jie's mind. "Let's risk it all." Looking at the vacant-eyed Han Ruyan, Su Jie bit his fingertip and, as fast as lightning, smeared his blood on Han Ruyan's forehead while vigorously activating the 9 nether ghost cultivation technique, with his primordial spirit controlling the infiltration into Han Ruyan's body. Han Ruyan paused on the spot, affected by Su Jie's forceful contract, causing her already fragile connection with Zhou Minzhen to disintegrate instantly. Now Han Ruyan, like a wild, fierce ghost, was free from control. "You dare!" Seeing this scene, Zhou Minzhen's veins bulged on his neck, his face turning red with anger. "Are you my husband?" Suddenly, a chilling, ghostly voice emerged. Han Ruyan's gaze swept over the dried corpses hanging from the pavilion, including Han Jinghuan and Han Mother, and her lifeless eyes locked onto Su Jie with an incomprehensible sound. "No!" Just as Su Jie uttered the word, it instantly triggered the ghost bride's killing mechanism. Mysteriously, Su Jie's body began to transform from his legs, swiftly turning towards a clay and wooden sculpture. Even the light of Su Jie's primordial spirit trembled intensely, flickering like an unstable flame. "Wait! I am your husband." Su Jie immediately corrected himself while taking a step back. Unexpectedly, Han Ruyan also took a step forward. As Su Jie spoke, the blood dripping from his forehead began to slowly seep into the space between Han Ruyan's eyebrows. "My husband!" The next moment, Han Ruyan took Su Jie's hand, and the clothes he wore transformed into the festive ancient wedding attire. The palm Han Ruyan held felt like touching a block of ice, devoid of any human warmth. Su Jie's mouth hung open, not expecting things to go so smoothly. As the blood infiltrated Han Ruyan's forehead, a red phoenix crown and brocade robe wedding dress fluttered within Su Jie's sea of consciousness, and he successfully bound a contract with the ghost bride, Han Ruyan. But it seemed that, due to the limited space in the sea of consciousness, the presence of the ghost bride there began to push out the connections belonging to the lantern ghost and the painting woman that were already present. Even the connection between Su Jie and the ghost bride felt highly unstable because of the domineering nature of this fierce ghost. It was at this time that Zhou Minzhen arrived with a ghost army in front of the pavilion, witnessing everything with his own eyes. This was a blow to Zhou Minzhen that was no less than a direct cuckoldry. It must be known that the ghost bride, Han Ruyan, was someone he painstakingly nurtured, even going so far as to sacrifice East Victory City for her. In the end, it was Su Jie who benefited. Su Jie who had come out of nowhere and contracted her. His face instantly darkened, as if a sunny sky was suddenly overwhelmed by a mass of dark clouds, his painstaking efforts rapidly turning into deep resentment. How dare you steal my possession? Even if your sect master came, I would still extract your soul and light a lamp with it. Fury overtaking his heart, Zhou Minzhen's voice rose from low to high, increasingly roaring, his face gradually turning green and his neck swelling as if ready to explode, clearly revealing his rage. Our sect master is right here. You'd probably be running away so fast. Su Jie felt no perturbation within. After all, the sect master of Ghost Ridge Palace was of the Taoist platform realm. If Zhou had the audacity to say this to sect master Zhang Junwei's face, Su Jie would indeed respect him as a real man. Wait until I catch you, and we'll see if your mouth can still be so tough. Zhou Minzhen spoke no further, and the ghost army surrounding Su Jie began to close in from all directions. Han Ruyan turned around slowly. Her exquisite face was devoid of color, a pale visage, with waterfall-like black hair falling to her hips and lifeless eyes that showed no sign of a living person. Her mouth slightly opening and closing, seemingly whispering something. Zhou Minzhen, standing far away, couldn't hear her, but Su Jie, standing nearby and holding hands with the ghost bride, heard that it was a verse exclusive to wedding days. First bow to heaven and earth, to respect the vast skies and the land, to joyously unite as one. Han Ruyan's voice was plaintive like a sob, and the approaching ghosts, one after another, showed uncontrollable expressions of joy on their faces, as if they were celebrating the union of the new couple, Su Jie and the ghost bride. Second bow to the high hall, the nurturing kindness heavy as a mountain. When Han Ruyan said this, a sorrowful and crying expression appeared on the faces of the many ghosts, as if they were playing the roles of parents, reluctantly bidding farewell to a daughter who was getting married. Heavenly spinning jade light body. Su Jie seemed to understand something. Known as Beichen Chui Xiong, surrounded by all stars, it was the creation mechanism, the sovereign of gods and humans, asserting authority over the three realms, ruling over all spirits. And according to what Zhong Shiguan had said, the all spirits that the heavenly spinning jade light body could command did not refer to spiritual beasts, but to spirit bodies. Naturally, ghosts were included in the category of spirit bodies. In other words, Han Ruyan, the ghost bride transformed from the heavenly spinning jade light body, was naturally the emperor among ghosts, bearing the commanding authority. The couple bows to each other. It's a match blessed through 3 lifetimes, a match made in heaven. As soon as Han Ruyan uttered these words, one ghost after another suddenly knelt, facing the direction of Su Jie and Han Ruyan. But there were ghosts who remained unmoved, many 5th-grade fierce ghosts either trembling or frozen in place, avoiding kneeling down. Those 6th-grade fierce ghosts, including 4 such as the Nine Sons ghost mother, showed resistance to the ghost bride and joined forces to launch an attack on her. The first to launch an attack was the ghost mother. Ghost infants ran over, and the ghost mother herself flapped her belly, intending to breed ghosts within the ghost bride's body. Logically, as the ghost mother was a 6th-grade fierce ghost and the ghost bride merely 5th grade, the ghost bride should have been suppressed. But the reality was the exact opposite. The deathly pupils of the ghost bride saw through the past, and several ghost infants fell to the ground with a thump, dying silently. The ghost mother continued to advance, tearing open her own abdomen, from which ghost infants began to crawl out. However, before her action was complete, her facial expression started to twist uncontrollably, the left half of her face laughing wildly, while the right half cried in sorrow. Her body also started to change with this intense contrast, filled with more and more deathly aura and seeming to wilt away. Normally, the ghost mother wouldn't be so weak, but near the ghost bride, she seemed to have a special aura of weakening. Any ghost that got close to her would have their strength significantly reduced, and the greater the gap between their powers, the greater the weakening. Roar. Like a crab, the tall sword labor ghost, wielding 2 meat cleavers, sent out slashes. Despite the great distance, these landed directly on Su Jie and the ghost bride, aiming to dismember them. In front of Su Jie, numerous pale corpse hands surged out from flesh, only to be neatly severed under the invisible blade light, broken ends smooth and clean as they fell to the ground like dead but twitching snakes. The blood-red light ripple from Han Ruyan's red wedding dress she wore lit up, and the invisible blade light that touched the wedding dress simply extinguished upon contact. As Han Ruyan's palm caressed the blood-colored wedding dress, the skin of the crab-like sword labor ghost began to tighten, changing into a red wedding dress, constricting the ghost's flesh and bones, shrinking inward continuously. The unimpressive headless ghost stepped forward. Facing the ghost bride, he lifted his hands, and a red line appeared on Han Ruyan's neck. The headless ghost sought to transplant Han Ruyan's head onto his own neck. But immediately after, the phoenix crown atop Han Ruyan's head shone with a faint ghostly gleam. The phoenix crown was beautiful and majestic, worn by Han Ruyan on the day she was married, adorned with a phoenix head gold hairpin, a phoenix flower hairpin crown, jeweled and interwoven with gold and silver threads forming a golden phoenix and 24 varying flowers. Its phoenix mouth held a long tassel, from which a step-shaking amulet dangled. At that moment, the phoenix crown on her head seemed to come to life, like a heavenly phoenix spreading its wings, but the pearls that represented its eyes were lifelessly dim. Suddenly, the flesh of the headless ghost's neck ignited, turning to fuel, burning fiercely and spreading upwards from below. This was a black netherworld fire, which even the 6th grade fierce headless ghost scrambled to retreat from, unable to evade in time. The last starving ghost was even more brutal. He was gaunt, his face pale, his eyes sunken, looking like a skeleton, always munching on something in his mouth. The moment it approached the ghost bride, the lower jaw of the starving ghost dislocated, his mouth ripping open wide, and he began to chew and swallow frenziedly. On the body of the ghost bride, rows of teeth marks and bite marks appeared, and the starving ghost was stronger than the headless and sword labor ghosts, and even the 9 sons' ghost mother. For the first time, Han Ruyan retreated, and the other 6th grade fierce ghosts seized the opportunity to break free from control, the sword labor ghost escaping the grasp of the wedding dress, the headless ghost extinguishing the fire, and the ghost mother's facial expression returning to calm. Fierce ghosts are notoriously difficult to kill, let alone 6th grade fierce ghosts. Even though Han Ruyan was fighting against 4 6th grade fierce ghosts, being powerful was not enough to guarantee victory, especially as she was only 5th grade herself. If she were a 6th grade fierce ghost, then these 6th grade fierce ghosts might not be enough for her to hammer once. However, she was not at that level yet. We need to retreat. Su Jie recalled the painting woman and the lantern ghost, grabbing the ghost bride with one hand, preparing to escape on the Shao Qian brand SkyTrain. Trying to flee. Zhou Minzhen's eyes were blood-red. The residual soul sword kept slashing down, and the demon cave mountain glowed brightly with blood. Ning Xinyue stretched out both arms, releasing the Xianin cold flow from the sky dome that silently spread within the quietness. The air seemed to have solidified, as the cold flow carried ice and darkness, continuously streaming forward. Plants and animals along the way were instantly frozen, turning into lifelike ice sculptures, all of which shattered when a breeze blew through. The towering demon cave mountain, in the midst of its furious power, had half of its mass sealed in ice, turning into a lump of icy bumps. Ning Xinyue's cute little face turned red as she exerted all her strength, managing to temporarily seal the 10,000 soul banner crafted by 100,000 Yin souls. Xiao Fingyuan's body trembled violently, his flesh on the neck bulged rapidly, and his upper body completely deformed, transforming into 9 huge snake heads joined to long necks, each with gaping mouths madly snapping and chasing after that top-grade residual soul sword. The residual soul sword kept piercing through the clouds, cutting off huge snake heads that crashed into the ground, creating large pits. Luckily, having 9 heads, Xiao Fengyuan could withstand the onslaught for a moment. The thousand-hand centipede was also in motion, spewing out intense death-decline curse clouds, covering the area below where Gongyang Ji and Zhou Minzhen were. It forced the 2 secret realm elders to dodge left and right, not daring to touch this terrifying curse. Taking advantage of the time gained, Su Jie stepped onto the 7-star steps, weaving through the army of ghosts, closing the distance with the thousand-hand centipede. With the ghost bride by his side, even if Su Jie bumped into these fierce ghosts, they made no move to attack. It was only when some 5th-grade fierce ghosts neared Su Jie that they showed a desire to attack, but the painting woman and the lantern ghost also protected Su Jie, preventing his speed from being affected. As long as they got far enough away, they did not continue the chase, allowing Su Jie to break free from the encirclement of the fierce ghost army. But the 4 6th-grade fierce ghosts were different. They were still relentlessly pursuing Su Jie. The ghost bride looked over the 4 6th-grade fierce ghosts and suddenly waved her hand. The large form of the lantern ghost suddenly collapsed, its flesh turning into a bright red paint. The ghost bride stretched out her pale left hand, catching the falling lantern. At that moment, the lantern had turned from white to festive red, and the character Dan, originally on the lantern, was replaced with a large she character. If the past lantern was for mourning, what the ghost bride now held, representing the festivity of a marriage, was a bridal lantern, a palace lantern. Great joy! The ghost bride raised the lantern, the character she, on the lantern facing the approaching starving ghost. Characters of she appeared on the starving ghost's body, causing it to begin to weirdly disintegrate and melt, greatly slowing down the pursuit. In the sky, numerous large red lanterns drifted, blocking the view and creating eerie vows echoing from within the lanterns. A husband should be as unwavering as a rock, and a wife as resilient as reed. The reed is as tenacious as silk, the rock never shifts its place. In life we reside in separate rooms, in death we share the same grave. If you say that I am distrustful, you are as stark as the noon sun. The vows caused several 6th-grade fierce ghosts to look up, only to see the lanterns descend, covering their heads, transforming into red bridal veils, momentarily confusing their direction and attack. Heavenly might! Su Jie held his breath and used his primordial spirit to connect with the Tao River once more, pulling a wisp of Tao essence into his body. 5 elements, demon-suppressing handprint, purple cloud, heavenly thunder, high-temperature beam. Su Jie launched a triple strike, leveraging the power of his primordial spirit's heavenly might to make these attacks especially ferocious. The several 6th-grade fierce ghosts opposite were covered by red veils, completely unable to dodge. Boom! The ghost mother was enveloped by the 5. As the handprint struck the ghost mother, she was blasted 100 meters away, her entire body folding in half. Streaks of heavenly thunder struck the starving ghost, with the thunder suppressing the most ferocious of the ghosts, turning dense flashes of lightning into an electric cage, trapping it inside. And the 2 high-temperature beams emitted from the eye sockets hit the headless ghost and the sword labor ghost respectively, melting huge cavities into their chests. The 3 attacks, almost simultaneous, though unable to kill them, once again slowed their pursuit. As Su Jie launched his attack, the ghost bride, as if in perfect synchrony, slowly lifted her right hand. The painting woman beside her body twisted and turned into a delicate double phoenix mirror, hanging on the ghost bride's chest. In the Tianyuan world, mirrors are considered auspicious objects, often used to ward off evil spirits, exorcise demons, and ensure safety. Mirrors also symbolize perfection and eternity. Also, because the sound of mirror is somewhat similar to son-in-law, many newly married women hang a mirror on their chests. Arranging my hair in the mirror. The ghost bride picked up the double phoenix mirror she wore on her chest, as if she was dressing up. Reflected in the mirror was the ghost bride's hauntingly beautiful face. The faces of several 6th-grade fierce ghosts convulsed and twisted violently, changing to resemble the ghost bride's visage. Arriving almost simultaneously with Su Jie's strike, This froze the powerful ghosts where they stood. The lantern ghost and the painting woman, originally 5th grade fierce ghosts, in the hands of the ghost bride, their power rose to another level. Su Jie's eyes flickered. It seemed Han Ruyan's ability was not just to weaken the spiritual power of the ghosts that came close. She could also enhance the combat power of the ghosts through contact, making her a sovereign among them. No wonder she could become an emperor among the ghosts. Su Jie's thoughts flashed, but now was not the time to ponder this. Seizing the opportunity when several 6th grade fierce ghosts were preoccupied, Su Jie wrapped his arm around Han Ruyan's waist and, holding her, jumped up. The 1,000-hand centipede roared past, catching Su Jie and immediately soaring high into the sky. Behind them, Zhou Minzhen and Gongyang Ji ascended, unwilling to let Su Jie escape like this. Su Jie also saw that the several 6th grade fierce ghosts were gradually recovering, their stiff bodies slowly moving. He knew a decision had to be made now. Shao Qian. Su Jie patted the 1,000-hand centipede he was riding. Understanding Su Jie's intent, the 1,000-hand centipede roared towards the sky, its huge body bursting apart, turning into countless tiny centipedes. Swarm after swarm of tiny centipedes congealed into insect blankets, wrapping around Su Jie, the ghost bride, Xiao Fengyuan, Ning Xinyue, and Qi Shijian. Among the cover of hundreds more insect blankets, they scattered in every direction. We'll regroup at West Ridge Mountain. As he performed this move, Su Jie transmitted this message through divine sense into the ears of Ning Xinyue and Xiao Fengyuan. Zhou Minzhen and Gongyang Ji were stunned. They tried hard to find Su Jie's real body, but without the primordial spirit divine sense, and before they could sense the breath of Su Jie and his group, the 1,000-hand centipede had already scattered everywhere. Zhou Minzhen attacked all the insect blankets he could see in a fury, but to no avail. There were simply too many to be extinguished. The remaining insect blankets had already vanished from sight, leaving no trace. An hour later, in a mountain recess, Su Jie appeared with the ghost bride. The vast insect blanket dissipated. As for Ning Xinyue, Xiao Fengyuan, and Qi Shijian, they were transported to another area by the insect blanket. Su Jie wasn't worried about being separated. He already knew their approximate location and could find them later. The insect blanket disappeared one by one until the 1,000-handed centipede's body, the size of a chopstick, crawled up Su Jie's arm. Sizzle! The 1,000-handed centipede gave 2 weak cries. Using this technique meant it had discarded most of its body mass. Not even cutting off an arm to survive would suffice to describe this. It was tantamount to severing everything below the neck. With a heavy heart, Su Jie stroked the head of the 1,000-handed centipede and took out an insect control bag, from which he fed it a large quantity of poisonous insects. He then pulled out spirit stones and blood marrow crystals from his storage bag to feed the 1,000-handed centipede, helping it recover its body and replenish its nutrients. The 1,000-handed centipede chewed with relish, its body slowly recovering, but it would take several days to return to its peak condition. Ghost bride Han Ruyan stood quietly on the other side, seemingly watching Su Jie, or perhaps just lost in a daze. Su Jie turned around to look at Han Ruyan's pale figure. Sensing Su Jie's gaze, a profound stillness shone from Han Ruyan's eyes. She quietly met his gaze and slowly spoke. "My husband." Her voice was 2 cold tones as she extended her pale, bloodless fingers, elegant and hauntingly beautiful. Only her fingernails were painted a striking red, exceedingly enchanting. This meant she wanted Su Jie to take her hand. As Su Jie watched this scene, even with his composure, his heart began to race. The presence of Han Ruyan in front of him made him feel a chill. Even with his primordial spirit, she posed a threat to his safety. Su Jie did not act immediately but connected to the depths of his sea of consciousness to check the contract with the ghost bride, Han Ruyan. To his surprise, the contract within his sea of consciousness was quite unstable. The wedding dress inside the sea of consciousness showed faint signs of transparency, and once it completely dissolved, it meant that the contract would break. Su Jie speculated that the ghost bride, having transformed from the heavenly spinning jade light body, was a royal among ghosts, making her far more difficult to control than ordinary fierce ghosts. For Su Jie to control such an existence, even with his primordial spirit, the contract would be extremely challenging. With that thought, Su Jie took the hand of the ghost bride. It was still cold to the touch. Han Ruyan stood there in her exquisitely beautiful and majestic wedding dress, which floated gently around her, although no emotions showed on her face. Inside Su Jie's sea of consciousness, the translucent red wedding dress gradually stabilized and settled within. I can't just keep holding her hand forever, Su Jie thought with a headache. It was clear that the ghost bride, while being contracted, had her consciousness and was not as obedient as the lantern ghost and the painting woman. After some thought, Su Jie took out a bunch of primordial spirit pearls from his storage bag. Each pearl was black, resembling a beautiful piece of ink jade, indicating they were filled with fear energy. This was one of the spoils obtained from Zhong Shiguan. Su Jie attempted to activate the primordial spirit pearls and transferred the fear energy into the ghost bride. The 9 nether ghost cultivation technique included methods for making and using primordial spirit pearls, which Su Jie found very easy to use. Within the Heavenly Soul sect, a primordial spirit pearl filled with fear energy was a valuable commodity for the demon cultivators, able to fetch a high price in spirit stones. However, there were not many who practiced ghost cultivation in the outside world, hence there was little recognition for it. Ordinarily speaking, a general first-grade fierce ghost would need 10 primordial spirit pearls to be able to advance. The stronger and more ferocious the ghost is at the same grade, the more primordial spirit pearls it would need, which is indeterminate. As Su Jie activated the primordial spirit pearls, a faint, almost invisible wisp of black chi emerged, swirling around the ghost bride. The originally ink-black primordial spirit pearls gradually lightened in color, eventually becoming crystal clear. They could be used again in the future to store fear energy, as they were reusable. Looking at the ghost bride across from him, the dense death chi, resentment chi, and yin chi around her were all climbing, and her strength was also slowly increasing. For fierce ghosts, fear energy is like the relationship between cultivators and spiritual energy, the most critical thing for ghosts to upgrade their grade. Su Jie could distinctly sense that the connection between the ghost bride and himself was becoming tighter. This confirmed Su Jie's speculation that feeding the ghost bride could significantly improve their affinity. Soon, the hundreds of primordial spirit pearls in Su Jie's hand were all consumed. This amount of fear energy was but a drop in the ocean for the ghost bride's advancement. A 5th-grade fierce ghost looking to advance to a 6th-grade fierce ghost would need an enormous amount of fear energy, let alone the ghost bride. A ghostly emperor transformed from a heavenly spinning jade light body, the ghost bride would need at least 10 times the fear energy of other ghosts at the same grade. This strength is strong, but the fear energy needed seems way too much, Su Jie lamented in his heart, feeling like a weary father, completely consumed with worry for his family. Already raising a 1,000-handed centipede and now with the ghost bride, another big eater, Su Jie's burden was undeniably heavier. The ghost bride, not understanding Su Jie's troubles, gazed at Su Jie with a longing look after absorbing hundreds of primordial spirit pearls, clearly wanting to consume more fear energy. There's none left. You've eaten it all. I haven't even fed the painting woman and the lantern ghost yet. They're still hungry. Su Jie spread his hands. He had no stock left. The primordial spirit pearl was something the Heavenly Soul sect used. He had no idea where to find so much fear energy to feed the ghost bride. Thinking of the painting woman and the lantern ghost, Su Jie's gaze shifted to the big red lantern carried in the ghost bride's left hand and the double phoenix mirror worn on her chest. Su Jie coughed twice and said, "Why don't we let them out?" The ghost bride cocked her head to the side. Perhaps the recent feeding had had an effect, as she did not refuse. After the lantern was released, it floated in mid-air, revealing the tall figure of the lantern ghost, and the color of the lantern slowly turned white. The moment the lantern ghost appeared, it stepped back, keeping its distance from the ghost bride, its body even trembling slightly. The double phoenix mirror also flew out from the chest of the ghost bride, revealing the figure of the painting woman, who likewise trembled and stayed away from the ghost bride. Both being 5th-grade fierce ghosts, The lantern ghost and the painting woman were clearly in fear of the ghost bride. The ghost bride said nothing, but with a glance, the retreating lantern ghost and the painting woman stiffened. After a moment's struggle, the lantern ghost obediently went to the ghost bride's side, taking the initiative to light the way with its lantern, acting like an attendant holding a lamp. The painting woman floated behind the ghost bride, dutifully fixing the long red wedding dress, like a little maid. "She's more impressive than me, the master," Sujie said with a wry smile. Han Ruyan seemed to understand something and turned her head to look at Sujie, slowly extending her hand toward him. "Husband, I want." Sujie's expression changed slightly. He certainly didn't want to be Ning Kai-chun. At least he was not mentally prepared for that yet. However, Sujie clearly misunderstood Han Ruyan's intention, as she reached out not for him, but for a scroll in Sujie's arms. It was the Heavenly Ghost Map, a trophy obtained from Zhong Shiguan. Since Sujie had been busy refining a few mid-grade magical artifacts before, he hadn't had time to study it. "You want this?" Sujie took out the Heavenly Ghost Map, and as Han Ruyan took it, she gently unfolded it. Once the ghost map was unfurled, the surrounding environment immediately darkened. The map was overlapping with reality. In Han Ruyan's boudoir, Sujie had already experienced this scene. The world changed, entering the environment of the Heavenly Ghost Map, which wasn't an independent space, but felt more like some kind of barrier. When the Heavenly Ghost Map was completely unrolled, mounds resembling graves crawled across the earth, with sparse wild grass growing, enveloped by a thick, dark fog. Because of the intrusion of the living, these mounds one by one cracked open, and fierce ghosts climbed out. There were hanging ghosts with disheveled hair, pale faces, bulging eyes, and necks circled with purple strangulation marks. There were evil ghosts dragging heavy beheading blades, towering 2 meters tall, seemingly executioners in life. There were ghosts with ferocious faces, wide mouths, and large eyes, with sharp fangs in their mouths and beast horns on their heads, draped in human bones and hair. These fierce ghosts were of various kinds. Some Sujie had seen recorded in the 9 Nether Ghost cultivation technique, while others were completely unfamiliar with varying abilities. About 30 of these ghosts remained. Previously, there had been nearly 100, but many were killed in the last battle with Sujie. Those left were mostly first and second grade fierce ghosts, which to Sujie seemed weak and sickly. Besides them, there were only a few third-grade fierce ghosts to show rank, and not a single fourth-grade fierce ghost remained. All of these fierce ghosts were contracted by Zhong Shiguan, and upon his death, they all became feral. Sensing Sujie's presence, the killing mechanism in many ghosts was triggered, and they instinctively moved towards Sujie, wanting to kill. But it was at this moment that Han Ruyan's dead yet luminous eyes glanced over. The stirring ghosts, as if encountering a natural predator or an emperor, knelt one after another, their bodies trembling uncontrollably. Even these lower-grade ghosts, incapable of fear, were being suppressed and influenced by the ghost bride's presence. Sujie watched from the side, impressed once again. Although he'd seen it before, when the ghost bride had demonstrated this power in the face of an army of ghosts, witnessing it anew still amazed him. Then, Han Ruyan spread her arms, and one by one, eerie and cold wedding dresses appeared on the ghosts, beginning to seep into their flesh. The ghosts resisted and struggled. They were still free to follow verbal orders, but once the wedding dresses had completely penetrated them, they would no longer be able to escape the ghost bride's control. Controlling a host of ghosts, Sujie murmured. He still didn't know much about the ghost bride, but his primordial spirit could clearly sense that these ghost souls were being reshaped and bound by the ghost bride. It was like tethering wild animals with a collar, making them serve oneself, similar to how Sujie contracted fierce ghosts. The only difference was that Sujie's contracts required the capacity of his sea of consciousness, limiting the number of fierce ghosts he could contract. But the ghost bride had no such limitation. She was born for this very purpose. This contracting process was much faster than imagined. The first-grade fierce ghosts were contracted within a few seconds, and the second-grade ones lasted about a minute. The few third-grade fierce ghosts also merely took about 5 minutes. They went from resistance to struggle and finally to submission, completing a striking transformation in role. One after another, the wedding dresses merged with the flesh and fully integrated with the fierce ghosts. "Come here," Han Ruyan slowly spoke, her perfectly beautiful and pallid face exuding nobility and elegance, like a natural-born empress giving out her commands. Dozens of fierce ghosts came before Han Ruyan, standing quietly, waiting for her instructions. "Husband, come with me into the sedan chair," she said. Han Ruyan's gaze shifted towards Su Jie. In her lifeless eyes, a flicker of emotion appeared, though Su Jie wasn't sure if it was just his imagination. As soon as the words left her lips, Han Ruyan tossed the heavenly ghost map suddenly. Instantly, under the influence of the ghost bride's powers, the ghost artifact transformed into a beautiful flower sedan chair. The sedan chair was adorned with over 5,000 pearls and more than 300 various gemstones. 12 dragons and phoenixes were carved on the top, with dragons on the front and phoenixes on the sides. The dragons either held their heads high, stood on all fours, walked or galloped, each displaying a distinct posture. The phoenixes were all depicted with outstretched wings in flight, holding red and blue gemstones in their beaks. Surrounding them were emerald carvings of clouds and leaves, as if soaring through the clouds. The entire sedan chair glimmered, the dragons and phoenixes vibrant, the jewels and gold and jade glistening brightly, and amidst the grandeur, there was a sense of nobility. The environment suddenly turned chilly, with gusts of Yin wind, and the nearby plants withered, as if all life had been stripped away. The ghost bride possessed the ability to transform fierce ghosts, and the powers of the lantern ghost and painting woman greatly increased when held by her. The same principle applied to the heavenly ghost map. The flower sedan chair it transformed into was exceptionally terrifying. And as the sedan chair was formed, the ghosts began to stir. Several tall and burly fierce ghosts acted as carriers, lifting the red-topped flower sedan chair. A lute ghost played a 4-stringed lute, producing a clear and pleasing melody. Some blazing ghosts used themselves as torches, setting up flares all around the sedan chair to light up the surroundings. The lantern ghost transformed into lanterns, hanging in front of the sedan chair door. The painting woman played a maid, drawing aside the silk curtains of the sedan chair, inviting the bride and groom to board. Watching this scene, Su Jie was impressed. Not mentioning Han Ruyan's strength, this pomp, this bearing, was that of a firmly grasped heiress of a big family. Even in death, her procession was just as grand. Muttering inwardly, Su Jie joined Han Ruyan in the sedan chair. The space inside the sedan chair was much larger than a small room. Adorned anew, approximately 100 square feet in size, obviously transformed by the powers of the ghost bride. Upon sight, there was a rosewood marble desk, piled with famous people's calligraphy and treasure inkstones, with various brushes standing in their holders like a forest. In the room, there was a large Rue porcelain flower vase with peonies, and many paintings and couplets hanging on the walls. The most eye-catching piece was a step bed in the room, a platform with posts at each corner and wooden railings, forming a shallow gallery. Compared to the previously lifeless and grave-filled heavenly ghost map, the flower sedan chair, transformed from the heavenly ghost map, was decorated with all things red paper, but it felt much more comforting to look at. When Su Jie and Han Ruyan entered the sedan chair, all the fierce ghosts outside bowed to the ground. The fierce ghosts carried bridal dowries, vermilion-painted and gold-lacquered boxes filled with various dazzling and gleaming jewels, jade, and silk. The procession was long and majestic, like a golden dragon draped in red, moving grandly for miles. And within the sedan chair, Han Ruyan took Su Jie's hand, blew out the candles and said, "Husband, it's time for us to go to bed and rest. Could it be that today, I too must devote myself?" Su Jie swallowed, looking at Han Ruyan across from him. Although her figure and appearance were the same as before, her skin was pale, and her body lacked the warmth of a normal person. Han Ruyan took Su Jie's hand and walked towards the bedchamber. With each step she took, her red wedding dress became ever more brilliant, making her ghostly pale skin stand out even more. They sat on the bed, facing each other with their eyes locked. Han Ruyin gently twisted her sleeves, slipped off her delicate embroidered shoes, and sat poised, her dead and still eyes staring intently. "Husband, am I beautiful?" Han Ruyin suddenly spoke. Her voice did not carry the usual shyness of a woman, but was indifferent, devoid of any fluctuation or emotion. "Of course, you are my wife, the most beautiful of all, the #1 beauty in the world." Facing such a topic, even if the other person was a ghost, she presumably would like to hear words of admiration. After all, a female ghost should still count as a woman, right? Su Jie was somewhat unconfident in his scattered thoughts. After he finished speaking, Han Ruyin, sitting calmly across from him, seemed to hook the corners of her mouth into an almost imperceptible smile. She was smiling. Ever since Han Ruyin had become the ghost bride, Su Jie had never seen her express such an emotion. "Husband is considerate too." Han Ruyin leaned against Su Jie, placing her hands on his shoulders, spreading a strange and chill aura. Su Jie couldn't help but shiver. Lowering his head, he saw the distance between himself and Han Ruyin closing. Han Ruyin's lips slightly parted as she moved closer, her face devoid of blood, her eyes deep and dark, seemingly filled with disdain and animosity for the mortal world, emitting a strong sense of oppression. In the next moment, their lips touched and quickly separated. Before Su Jie could react, after their kiss, Han Ruyin's red wedding dress began to transform. Streams of yin qi infiltrated Su Jie's body and then flowed back onto the wedding dress, as if completing some kind of transformation ritual. The bodice of Han Ruyin's red wedding dress revealed dense, intricate patterns, with little plum blossom-shaped red veins becoming visible. Su Jie relaxed, seeing that things weren't as bad as he had feared. Just then, Su Jie felt a subtle change in his body. With Han Ruyin's kiss, his primordial spirit shone resplendently, as if it had received a kind of baptism, becoming increasingly solidified. At the same time, Su Jie's physical body, countless cells actively evolving, became stronger and more robust. Is this dual cultivation? Su Jie was somewhat surprised, thinking of Han Ruyin's heavenly spinning jade light body. Beichen Chui Xiang, surrounded by stars, is the creation mechanism. The emphasis was on the latter part of the phrase about creation. This term signifies the act of creating and evolving, as well as nurturing life. Su Jie's primordial spirit seemed to have formed an unknown connection to certain stars in the heavens, and even his connection to the Tao of this world had become more intimate. Even as a fierce ghost, Han Ruyin still retained the characteristics of her past heavenly spinning jade light body. This physique, ranked among the top 10 in the divine bodies, inadvertently brought Su Jie numerous benefits. Just as Han Ruyin could transform the lantern ghost, the painting woman, and the heavenly ghost map, Su Jie's body also underwent positive transformations during this intimate contact, his vitality growing longer, his physical strength increasingly formidable, and his primordial spirit shining like a constellation, bright and dazzling. "My lady, you are so beautiful, let's kiss again." Su Jie cleared his throat and took the initiative to hug her, kissing Han Ruyin's cold lips. Although he previously said he didn't want to be Ning Kaichen, times had changed, and Su Jie possessed a flexible moral baseline. Han Ruyin's body was very cold, with waves of yin qi eroding into Su Jie's flesh and blood. Through this contact, Su Jie baptized his physical body and primordial spirit. However, when Su Jie's arm embraced Han Ruyin, there was no sensation of a body inside the wedding dress, as if he was touching nothing but air. Hiss! Strange. There's no body at all. Su Jie was startled to realize this situation. It turned out that the ghost bride was indeed just a red wedding dress. The flesh inside the dress did not exist. "Husband, aren't you afraid of me?" Han Ruyin parted her lips, looking at Su Jie's shocked expression. Her voice as cold and indifferent as ever. Based on her looks, Han Ruyin was extremely beautiful with a delicate and unparalleled face and a proud physique. Unfortunately, after death, Han Ruyan was no longer her past self. Pale skin, dead and cold eyes. One glance was enough to feel an inner fear and trembling. It was difficult to overcome this psychologically. After all, the pressure Han Ruyan brought to someone was so intense that only the toughest of the tough could stand firm. "You are my wife. What is there to be afraid of?" Su Jie said confidently, as the saying goes, with enough courage, a female ghost could be sent on maternity leave. "Husband turns out to be so lascivious, huh? My current body is still unable to do more. Wait until I ascend to 9th grade and my jade body solidifies. Then I will be able to rock your world endlessly."
Han Ruyan quietly watched Su Jie, her yin growing increasingly fierce.
After saying this, Han Ruyan pushed Su Jie away. It may have been Su Jie's misperception, but he seemed to see a hint of disdain in Han Ruyan's eyes. Perhaps it was Su Jie's presumptuous manner that made Han Ruyan, the powerful ghost entity, uncomfortable. She had never seen someone so shameless. Others would keep as far away from a female ghost as possible or be terrified out of their wits. Su Jie, on the other hand, was really going for it. A 9th grade fierce ghost. How much fear energy is that? Su Jie wasn't truly driven by lust. He coveted the power and assistance of the ghost bride. Han Ruyan, as a 5th grade fierce ghost, already possessed battle strength far above her peers. She also had the ability to control a horde of ghosts and enhance and transform the special abilities of fierce ghosts. Even individuals like Zhong Shiguan and Gongyang Ji from the Secret Realm, who were weaker, were no match for Han Ruyan in a one-on-one battle. If she were to advance to 9th grade, the thought of her combat power was unimaginable. But as much as he coveted it, Su Jie faced a difficult problem and dared not to flaunt himself like the Heavenly Soul sect, imprisoning an entire city to provide fear energy as sustenance. "Husband, killing is very easy." Han Ruyan held up the red wedding dress. To a ghost of her level, killing an ordinary person was no different than crushing an insect. Su Jie shook his head, suppressing Han Ruyan's eagerness with his divine sense, secretly lamenting in his heart. When she was alive, how kind Han Ruyan was. Even knowing Su Jie's demon cultivator identity, she never revealed the slightest hint. Now that she had become a fierce ghost, it seemed all human emotions had vanished. Killing, in her words, had become a trivial matter. "Killing is too crude a method. I will find you a better way later on." Su Jie wanted to pat Han Ruyan's head, but seeing her dead and sharp eyes like daggers, he could only sulkily pull back his hand. "I believe in you, husband." Han Ruyan tilted her head, like a young girl about to be married off. But Su Jie knew well that once he could no longer provide fear energy, and the contract broke, he would likely be the first to suffer. The flower sedan chair made its way forward. Heading towards West Ridge Mountain, all living beings retreated and the myriad beasts fell silent as it passed. This rate of advance was no slower than that of the thousand-handed centipede. The flower sedan chair, transformed from the heavenly ghost map, moved sporadically. One moment it was 100 meters away, and in the next second, it appeared in another place altogether. As the sky gradually darkened, the flower sedan chair arrived near West Ridge Mountain, where Su Jie and Xiao Fengyuan, along with Ning Xinyue, had agreed to meet. However, as soon as he got there, Su Jie found that the place was anything but peaceful, with the sounds of shouting and fighting deafening to the ears. Peering through the parted curtains of the sedan chair, Su Jie's divine eye saw the battlefield several kilometers away, where intense fighting was taking place. Dozens of righteous disciples were fighting together, with the glows of magic artifacts, magic, and talismans streaking across the night sky. These disciples' backgrounds were unknown, but those they were attacking were none other than Ning Xinyue and Xiao Fengyuan. Those demon cultivators. Don't you dare resist arrest. They're nearly done for. Let's all work together to kill them right here. Don't let them get away. They wreaked havoc in East Victory City, slaughtered the entire town, and harmed our brothers and sisters. They must pay with their lives. The disciples shouted in anger. East Victory City had been sealed off for a few days, and within it were high-ranking students from various sects. These disciples had come to investigate, but since they couldn't enter East Victory City, they lingered outside. On the other side of East Victory City, they did not collide with Yu Wenjing and others who had escaped, but they did encounter Ning Xinyue and Xiao Fengyuan, who had been carried out by the centipede insect blanket, and they had been pursuing them ever since. It's just our luck. We told you. We had nothing to do with East Victory City. Can't you understand human speech? Ning Xinyue knocked a righteous disciple away with her Vajra bracelet, her pretty face full of displeasure as she shouted with her hands on her hips. Your brothers and sisters were saved by us, and now you turn your back on us? Don't you have any brains? Demon cultivator. How dare you spout such nonsense? Our brothers and sisters would never work with you demons. The more you emphasize something, the more it shows what you lack. Brother surely must have been killed by them. Quick, go to the sect and call for help. Capture them and bring them back to the sect. Maybe we can find our brother's whereabouts. The opponent is the nine-headed demon spear from Ghost Ridge Palace. Killing him will definitely boost our morale. Despite Ning Xinyue's words, the group of disciples did not believe her at all, and their shouting only intensified, which infuriated Ning Xinyue. There's no use talking to them. All these righteous disciples deserve to be killed. Xiao Fengyuan held the blood-song spear, its body piercing through two righteous disciples, turning them into dried husks to replenish his own injuries. Yet the small amount of blood was but a drop in the bucket for his severe wounds. At that moment, Xiao Fengyuan was in a tragic state, covered in blood from head to toe, with bones and organs severely damaged, broken beyond count. On the other side, the multi-legged centipede with top grade 3 refinements was severed in half, and both the man and the beast were at the end of their tether. Even so, he fought at the forefront because his family had been harmed by the righteous sect, and he harbored an extraordinary hatred for these righteous disciples. Brother Xiao, you should retreat first. Ning Xinyue was anxious, feeling helpless despite her willingness to fight. In East Victory City, both had sustained serious injuries from their confrontation with Zhou Minzhen and had nearly exhausted their spiritual energy. Otherwise, these disciples really wouldn't be a match for the two of them. In the midst of speaking, a flying sword shot towards them with immense speed. Xiao Fengyuan's neck was penetrated, and his windpipe was torn apart. If it weren't for his cultivation of demon technique, which allowed him to recover by consuming others' blood, he would have long since been on his way to report to hell. It's all right, even if I'm dying, I'll take a few of them with me. His body swayed, and Xiao Fengyuan steadied himself with his hands on the blood-song spear, barely managing not to fall. He wanted to muster his strength again, but the spiritual power inside him was nearly exhausted. He's almost done for. Everyone together now. Slay the demon and subdue the evil, to avenge our brothers and sisters. Seeing this, the hearts of numerous righteous disciples surged with fervor. Filled with the intent to slay demons and make a name for themselves, they charged forward en masse. Once they killed Xiao Fengyuan, the celebrated wielder of the nine-headed demon spear, they would surely receive great rewards from their sect and become instantly famous throughout the land. You want to slay demons? What bold words! But it seems I should be the one to send you on your way. Suddenly, a voice filled with wild domination rang out across the battlefield. The disciples turned their heads to look toward the source of the voice. Upon hearing this familiar voice, both Ning Xinyue and Xiao Fengyuan relaxed as if a massive burden had been lifted from them and their faces filled with joy. What's that sound? Who's speaking? The righteous disciples were filled with unease when they saw a dragon and phoenix-adorned flower sedan chair being carried up the mountain path by 8 fierce ghosts, each as tall as 10 feet. Around the sedan, numerous fierce ghosts carried flower vases, flower candles, incense balls, skirt boxes, clothes boxes, and other items, while papermen beat gongs and scattered flower candies and golden paper, creating a grand bridal procession that stretched for miles. A few of the righteous disciples at the outskirts of the battlefield instinctively wanted to retreat. The ghosts accompanying this bridal flower sedan were a bit too terrifying. But their movements were too slow. The speed of the sedan was much faster than the eye could see. A few disciples who stood in the path of the advancing sedan fell apart, their muscles disintegrating and bones turning to dust, leaving nothing but their skins behind on the spot. The human skins developed the texture of paper, transforming into brand new papermen, except these were made from human skin paper. The papermen held instruments made of paper and joined the sedan procession, their faces adorned with upsetting smiles as they continued to play, becoming an inconspicuous part of the wedding procession. It seems like something even fiercer has come. This scene sent chills down the spines of the righteous disciples present. As the sedan advanced, it appeared auspicious with dragons and phoenixes, wrapped in golden silk, glittering with pearls, and ornately decorated with gold and jade, unrivaled in splendor and majesty, meant to exude an atmosphere of joy and auspiciousness. But in reality, there was an invisible chilling aura around the sedan, and the air was oppressively heavy. Wherever the sedan passed, neither the moonlight nor the insect noises among the plants dared to approach the ghostly vehicle. The righteous disciples couldn't even begin to imagine what sort of entity rode within the sedan. They could only watch helplessly as what should have been called a flower sedan chair would be more aptly deemed a ghostly one, continued its eerie advance, and the atmosphere on the mountain path became filled with dread. As the disciples were uncertain whether to fight or flee, the curtain of the sedan, woven from golden silk, was lifted, and the ghost bride, Han Ruyin, stepped out. The ferocious ghosts around her bowed down, as if welcoming an honored empress. "Husband, may I start killing?" Han Ruyin surveyed her surroundings with a chilling and eerie gaze. "Kill them all." Su Jie stepped out from the sedan as well, without any intention of restraining Han Ruyin's request. Almost as soon as Su Jie granted the request, the windows on either side of the sedan and the front curtains blew open, and a wave of chilling aura swept across relentlessly. A ghastly ghost face appeared on the sedan, the embedded pearls becoming ghostly eyes, and its gaping mouth seemed bottomless as if leading straight to the depths of hell. In the next moment, the chilling wind backlashed, and the disciples lost control of their bodies, getting swallowed toward the ghost face on the sedan. These righteous disciples varied in strength, but even those at the 8th or 9th level of the Yunling realm could only struggle to resist the devouring force of the flower sedan chair's ghostly face. Thump! The weakest disciple was the first to be sucked into the ghost's gaping maw, which was actually the main door of the flower sedan chair. The disciples sucked in were like being fed into a meat grinder, their bodies sliced into bits and pieces. These fragments scattered about and flew out, turning into a sky full of paper money, which then reconfigured into paper men. As for those disciples who still wanted to resist and struggle, the other fierce ghosts were not indifferent. A group of fierce ghosts joined the battle, and without Han Ruyin having to lift a finger, they completed their task. The painting woman, holding a copper mirror in her hand, multiplied as she moved, strangling the disciples' necks and limbs, erasing them from the air. The lantern ghost walked slowly, the bodies of one disciple after another turning into melting wax, dead body oil flowing everywhere. A hanging ghost stood out, an old hemp rope flying from its hand, one end wrapping around its own neck and the other around the neck of a disciple across, both hanging in midair together. As the hanging ghost descended, the disciple it caught ascended, quickly turning into a dried corpse. A ghoul with scapula bones plucked at the strings, playing a mournful and sorrowful tune. Upon hearing this music, a disciple went mad, his body twisting like a tangled ball of thread, with fascia and blood vessels bursting out of the skin, wrapping around him and contorting into a ball of flesh. Under the amplification of the ghost bride's abilities, these ghosts had varying degrees of strength increases, and with their sheer numbers, it took only a few minutes for this place to become a slaughterhouse. "We can't win, we can't beat them at all. These ghosts are too terrifying. Run, run. We're going to die, if we stay we'll all die." The righteous disciples collapsed, attempting to flee in all directions. Han Ruyin watched as several fleeing righteous disciples waved her hands at them. These disciples showed expressions of sorrow on one half of their faces and joy on the other half. As they ran, their bodies suddenly collapsed to the ground with a thump, their life force already extinguished. Even in death, their faces maintained a look that was halfway between crying and laughing, chilling to the bone. Dozens of righteous disciples, with only modest intervention from Han Ruyin, failed to leave this place alive. And the resentment and fear that they emitted in their dying moments were all collected by Han Ruyan, with the other fierce ghosts only looking on eagerly, not daring to fight for even a bit of it. When everything settled, Su Jie instructed the ghosts to clean up the battlefield, before walking over to Xiao Fengyuan and Ning Xinyue. "How's it going?" "Not bad, I won't die." Xiao Fengyuan smiled, blood trickling from his mouth as he spoke. Luckily, he was a demon cultivator, and when it came to self-preservation abilities, demon cultivators were quite a bit stronger than those of the righteous sect. "You nearly had to collect our bodies." Ning Xinyue wiped the dirt from her face, complaining. While speaking, Ning Xinyue sneaked a few glances at Han Ruyan and murmured softly, "By the way, why did they call you husband? And you actually—" She trailed off without finishing, casting a strange look towards Su Jie. That look clearly said, "You can't even leave female ghosts alone? If I hadn't become her husband and married her in a ceremony, could you have escaped from East Victory City? I made such a sacrifice, and you don't even think to be grateful?" Su Jie pinched Ning Xinyue's cheeks, full of collagen and tender pink. If he hadn't contracted with the ghost bride back then, Su Jie would have died in East Victory City. Even though the ghost bride was very dangerous and didn't listen to his commands very well, she ultimately saved his life in East Victory City. Ning Xinyue blinked her eyes, understanding the reasoning, and shook Su Jie's arm back and forth. "I was wrong. I won't laugh at you anymore." However, Ning Xinyue's actions immediately caught the attention of the ghost bride. Han Ruyan slowly turned her head, her dead and icy pupils fixed on Ning Xinyue. The suffocating feeling and the scent of death caused goosebumps to rise on Ning Xinyue's arms. When she looked up, she found herself in a staring contest with the ghost bride. The wedding dress on Han Ruyan looked magnificent and pretty, fluttering slightly, signaling the prelude to her attack. In front of Su Jie, Ning Xinyue's facial expressions kept changing, revealing an emotion that looked like a mix of crying and laughing. The righteous disciples just now had died by this very move. A page of the Jade Heavenly Book floated up around Ning Xinyue, the tadpole-like characters moving on their own, forming a barrier of light to fend off this unknown, bizarre curse. Nonetheless, the strength of Han Ruyan's attack was too terrifying, like a fragile eggshell. The scriptures continued to crumble and vanish. "Wife, don't attack. She is one of us." Su Jie spoke hurriedly, not expecting that Han Ruyan, having become a fierce ghost, could get jealous, and quite intensely at that. While speaking, Su Jie stepped between Han Ruyan and Ning Xinyue, simultaneously holding Han Ruyan's arm to make her cancel the curse. "Husband, are you going to betray our vows?" Han Ruyan's gaze stayed on Su Jie, feeling some instability in the contract within her sea of consciousness. Her aura became even more mournful and sad. The silver moonlight cast upon her pale skin, her long hair cascading like a waterfall under the night sky. The red wedding dress gently swayed, her hollow eyes revealing a deep resentment. Ning Xinyue was also taken aback by Han Ruyan's gesture and began waving her hands. "Miss Han Ruyan, I have nothing to do with your husband. I'm not competing for him. I wouldn't fall for that kind of guy." In order to prove her innocence, Ning Xinyue voluntarily put more distance between herself and Su Jie. Clearly, Ning Xinyue knew how terrible Han Ruyan was. In East Victory City, not even the ghostly hordes could do anything to her, having just now witnessed Han Ruyan's slaughter firsthand. Han Ruyan felt a vague sense of familiarity with that address. But without her memories from when she was alive, she didn't take Ning Xinyue's words seriously. At this moment, Su Jie had already taken Han Ruyan's hand, saying, "Of course, I have not forgotten our past vows. The person who loves you the most is me. Don't you know that yet?" Hearing these cheesy words, Ning Xinyue looked at Su Jie as if he were a scumbag. Han Ruyan didn't speak, still watching Ning Xinyue with a look as if she were seeing a dead person, which made Ning Xinyue feel very uncomfortable. "She and I have a senior-junior disciple relationship. Think about it, we just had our wedding ceremony today with so many witnesses present. She was there too. How could she possibly commit such an unforgivable act?" Sensing the shift in Han Rian's aura, Su Jie spoke faster. What he said was indeed true. Back at the Han Mansion in East Victory City, the two of them had married in a ceremony witnessed by the army of ghosts, the only difference being that the witnesses were not human, but ghosts. Han Rian slowly averted her gaze, not continuing her attack, though it was unclear whether she had been convinced or not. Ning Xinyue also breathed a sigh of relief, as the conflict ultimately dissipated into nothingness. Subsequently, the group cleaned up the battlefield and dug Qi Shijian out of the ground, who had been kept unconscious with drugs ever since being captured. Then, the trio no longer delayed and set off again, embarking on the road back to Ghost Ridge Palace. However, due to the rush, the choice of transportation became a problem. The thousand-handed centipede was still recovering its body and unable to carry people in flight, making it difficult for Su Jie to overextend it. Thus, Han Rian's flower sedan chair was the only suitable option for the journey. "Come up here." Su Jie took Han Rian's hand and nodded towards the flower sedan chair, signaling Xiao Fengyuan and Ning Xinyue to get inside. Ning Xinyue, observing Han Rian's expression and seeing no impatience, quickly boarded the sedan chair. Xiao Fengyuan followed, giving Han Rian a nod. "Thank you for the inconvenience." It was clear that Xiao Fengyuan did not regard Han Rian as a fierce ghost, but rather treated her as a living person with her own will. "It's really beautiful." Once inside, Ning Xinyue discovered a different realm altogether, looking enviously at Su Jie. Having such a sedan chair for travel, which inside resembled a luxurious house, and rode so smoothly that one could hardly feel any bumps or shakes. "It's absolutely amazing." Xiao Fengyuan also expressed his amazement, having personally witnessed how Su Jie had signed the contract with Han Rian. Such an aid was something demon cultivators could only dream of. "It's not as great as you guys make it out to be." Su Jie smiled, sitting on a carved chair embellished with phoenix designs. Everything inside the room was made of paper, as it essentially came from the Heavenly Ghost Map, which was constructed out of paper. Han Rian's long black hair was pinned up, and her wedding dress had subtly changed into a more homely style. "Please have some tea." Picking up the teapot, Han Rian poured tea for the guests with impeccable manners, inheriting very well what she had learned as a young lady before her death. This, however, Ning Xinyue almost lost her composure upon seeing the tea, because it wasn't real tea. The ghost bride did not have the ability to create something from nothing. Her prowess was in transformation. Thus, the tea was actually as dark as ink, entirely made of the most concentrated fear energy and resentment, compressed and condensed. For ghosts, such tea could enhance strength and was nothing short of wonderful. But for normal people it might not be so pleasant to consume. "Drink it." Seeing their reactions, Su Jie gave the others a meaningful look, then picked up a cup of tea and drank it himself. As the 9 nether ghost cultivation technique operated, all the resentment and fear energy were transferred to Han Rian through the contract with her. Xiao Fengyuan, keeping his expression unchanged, lifted the teacup and took a sip. Ning Xinyue, looking for help from Su Jie and finding him intentionally ignoring her, and with Han Rian staring at her, had no choice but to bite her lip and gently sip the tea after kicking Su Jie under the table. As the tea entered her mouth, the resentment and fear energy within burst forth instantly. "Ah!" Ning Xinyue shivered, as with the tea going down her throat, the minds of many humans screaming in their dying moments resounded in her mind. Her body synchronized with this pain and fear, making Ning Xinyue involuntarily cry out. On the other hand, Xiao Fengyuan managed to barely maintain his facial expression. For him, who had experienced a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, even if it were a cup of magma, he could drink it without changing his face, let alone a cup of the water of resentment. He still restrained himself. The painful sensation came quickly and departed just as fast. Ning Xinyue, drenched in sweat, felt as if she had truly walked in front of the ghost gate. The fear energy that Han Rian absorbed and transformed came from the righteous disciples she had just killed. The fear and pain of death were also hidden in the tea. Han Rian looked at Ning Xinyue, then continued to pour tea. "Please enjoy." There's not much else I can offer here. As for Xiao Fengyuan on the other side, he was completely ignored by the ghost bride. Even a fool could see that Han Ruyan was targeting Ning Xinyue, and she still hadn't truly let go of what had happened earlier. Hey, Su Jie, control your wife. Ning Xinyue couldn't stand it anymore and suddenly stood up. Looking at the teapot in Han Ruyan's hand, she would rather confront Han Ruyan than keep drinking. Is it because I'm not a good host? Han Ruyan put down the teapot and slowly stood up. The atmosphere in the room suddenly turned cold. Ghost faces materialized on the walls around them. The color of the wedding dress became even more vivid, and the pearls on the phoenix crown atop her head shone with a ghostly light. The wailing of 10,000 ghosts drifted through the air. Ning Xinyue was furious. People often lose their rationality in extreme anger. However, people are not all the same. Ning Xinyue, in her extreme anger, just reached the peak of her fury. Well, she just got angry for a moment. The tea is good. Ning Xinyue obediently sat back down on her chair, matching her furious expression from before. It was as if she was saying, "Mess with me and you'll realize you've picked on the soft persimmon." It must be said, Ning Xinyue was still very sincere, or one might say rational. After all, if it really came to a fight, she was no match for Han Ruyan. Han Ruyan glanced at Ning Xinyue, then stood up and walked to the dressing table nearby, picking up a comb and began grooming herself, losing interest in Ning Xinyue. Su Jie let out an unkind smile, which caused Ning Xinyue to glare at him, her cute little fangs showing. She wished she could bite Su Jie. Laugh, laugh, all you know is laughter. Do you think I'm stupid? You didn't even speak up for me just now. Ning Xinyue's face puffed up like a blowfish, greatly dissatisfied with Su Jie's indifferent observation earlier. No, with the way things were just now, I thought you didn't need my help, that you wanted a fair fight.
Su Jie's rugged.
Naturally, had Han Ruyan really made a move, Su Jie would have intervened, but the situation had not quite reached such a tense level yet. I'm not stupid. If I could fight, I would have fought long ago. How could such a nice sister in life become so fierce after death? It must be your fault. One takes on the color of one's company. Ning Xinyue muttered, not daring to provoke Han Ruyan, and spoke resentfully to Su Jie. But her words were overheard by Han Ruyan. Ning Xinyue felt a chill run down her spine and turned her head to see Han Ruyan dressing up with her back to her. The brass mirror reflected her stunningly beautiful face, and a pair of dead, cold eyes locked onto her through the mirror. Don't speak ill of my husband. Han Ruyan's voice echoed, still very protective of her spouse. Ning Xinyue wanted to cry without tears, biting her silver teeth. I used to be bullied by you. Now I'm being bullied by her. In the past deceived and coerced by Su Jie, and now threatened by Han Ruyan's martial force. Ning Xinyue suddenly felt a strong desire to become stronger. Humph. Wait till my shining body is fully developed. I'll definitely take your husband. Ning Xinyue stuck out her tongue at Han Ruyan, her mind entering a blissful realm of fantasies. Several days later, at the entrance to the territory of Ghost Ridge Palace, here lies a critical pass between a mountain range. From afar, one could see 3 obsidian towers standing on the mountain peaks. These served as the eyes of the mountain protection array and were key positions held by the elders. Next to the towers, there were numerous military tents spread out. A large number of disciples gathered here for rest, recuperation, and launching attacks, conveniently demolishing nearby enemies or killing those surrounding righteous disciples. However, with the forces from Guanchao Pavilion, Miaoyin Temple, Purple Mist Sect, Golden Sword Sect, and Qingwan Mountain continually adding troops, the disciples of Ghost Ridge Palace seldom ventured out to counter-encircle, as too many disciples never returned. The manpower had now shrunk back within the sect's boundaries, hardly ever venturing out. As usual, Jing Weitao stood at the watchtower on the mountain peak, relying on his eyesight to survey the surroundings while releasing scouting insects to inspect the wilderness. As an inner sect disciple, his strength wasn't formidable, possessing only up to the 6th level of Yunling realm cultivation. However, he had mastered the insect control technique well, so he had been assigned as a sentry, daily scanning the activities of those righteous sects. We dare not go out, And they dare not come in, it's so boring. How long should this guarding last? Jing Weitao, watching a butterfly fluttering at his fingertips and sharing the insect's vision, complained to his companion, who was also a sentry. Come on, this task is good. It's safe and there's no need to risk your life. Do you really want to go into the mountains and forests of the sect, battling those righteous disciples? His companion rolled his eyes, saying begrudgingly, You're right, with my level of strength, I'm barely able to protect myself. Jing Weitao thought about that scenario and immediately shivered. Many disciples lost their lives in the primitive forests of Ghost Ridge Palace, and now, it was said that the sect was preparing to mobilize those of the second level of Yunling realm as fodder to replenish the losses, indicating how fierce the battles were. Oh, that's not good. There's a situation. Jing Weitao's expression changed as the shared vision from scouting insects made him involuntarily cast his gaze towards the southwest direction. What happened? The companion also followed his gaze, and immediately witnessed a shocking scene. In the vast grassland outside the mountain peaks, a red flower sedan chair was seen flying towards them. And around the flower sedan chair, massive groups of righteous disciples were crazily attacking it. Is that a fierce ghost? Jing Weitao, through the scouting insects, could see more clearly and spotted an extraordinarily beautiful woman in a red wedding dress on top of the flower sedan chair. The scouting insect and the woman in the wedding dress locked eyes, and it seemed that through the insect, she had spotted him far behind. Jing Weitao's heart pounded wildly, his blood ran reverse, and cold sweat soaked his body. He quickly controlled the insect to avoid eye contact, fearing his heart might burst otherwise. What's wrong with you? Noticing Jing Weitao's unusual behavior, his companion grew anxious. I don't know. That woman is very strange. She doesn't seem like a normal person. Jing Weitao couldn't precisely describe the feeling, but when he looked in that direction again, he saw many of the attacking righteous disciples silently fall to the ground, turning into cold corpses. Boom! A massive thousand-handed centipede emerged from the flower sedan chair, transforming into a nearly 100-meter-long behemoth. Its bony jaws split open, emitting high-temperature beams that melted metal and dissolved the bodies of many disciples. Several figures also emerged from the flower sedan chair, joined hands in repelling those attacking righteous disciples, and hurriedly ran towards the Ghost Ridge Palace encampment. Behind the pursuing righteous disciples, their sect elders from the hidden realm had already appeared, flying in to intercept, preparing to fight without martial ethics. That is, it's Brother Su and Brother Xiao. After seeing the figure clearly, Jing Weitao drew in a breath of cold air, and quickly took out a small black insect whistle from his mouth, blowing it hard. Atop the 3 obsidian towers, a powerful unmatched aura awakened. One by one, the elders of Ghost Ridge Palace opened their eyes and soared up from the towers. It's actually him. Taoist Chiu, recognizing the familiar figure, seemed to understand something and hurriedly flew forward to intercept the secret realm elders from the righteous sect. You want to pick on my disciple, bullying the weak? Is this the style of your righteous sect? With a furious shout from Taoist Chiu, he struck down with his palm. The sea of clouds roiled and the ground split open, blasting 2 secret realm elders away. Master! Su Jie called out, his face breaking into a joyous smile. Originally, Su Jie and the others had planned to return the same way they came, but the blockades set by the righteous sect had become increasingly tight. The exit they had used before was sealed, and entry from other places would be blocked by the mountain protection array. Hence, Su Jie and the others had no choice but to enter through the main gate, forcibly making their way in. More and more elders from Ghost Ridge Palace arrived, and the situation immediately became secure. Come back with me. Taoist Chiu looked at the few elders opposite him who were intimidated, snorted coldly, and looked scornful. The other elders of Ghost Ridge Palace, seeing the corpses scattered around the flower sedan chair and looking at Su Jie, Xiao Fengyuan, and others, were quite surprised because even for the secret realm elders, it was not easy to force their way into this prairie. Under the escort of a group of Ghost Ridge Palace elders, Su Jie and his companions safely returned to the inside of the mountain protection array. Because of the elders' mobilization, the disciples here had already been alerted. It's Brother Su. Brother Xiao is here too. How did they end up outside? No wonder there hasn't been news of the two lately. Maybe they were out on a mission. Su Jie and Xiao Fengyuan were celebrities at Ghost Ridge Palace. The number of disciples who knew them was not small. Taoist Qiu naturally knew what kind of mission his disciples had been on and intended to step forward to inquire about the mission status. But suddenly, the crowd spontaneously made way, and shouts of "Sect Master" arose. A man in a black robe walked slowly forward. It was Zhang Junwei, the Sect Master of Ghost Ridge Palace. Sect Master! Su Jie bowed, not expecting even the Sect Master to be disturbed. Zhang Tianjuan's gaze swept over them, lingering a bit longer on the ghost bride, Han Ruyan, and asked, "Was the mission accomplished?" Fortunately, the traitor to the sect, Qi Shijian, has been captured and awaits the sect's judgment. Su Jie beckoned, and Qi Shijian was spit out by the thousand-handed centipede from its mouth, and Xiao Fengyuan stepped forward and fed him an elixir. Soon, under the effect of the medicine, Qi Shijian groggily woke up. Seeing his surroundings after awaking, this pitiable creature who had been unconscious all the way turned deathly pale. Originally quiet after Zhang Junwei's arrival, the surrounding disciples could no longer hold back their silence when they saw Qi Shijian appear, and bursts of shock and anger erupted. "It's Qi Shijian. Brother Su and Brother Xiao have captured this traitor." "Good. Finally, this traitor has been captured. He must be made to die a terrible death. Killing him would not be enough to quench our anger. We must make him beg for life yet be unable to live and beg for death yet unable to die." Countless disciples angrily stared at Qi Shijian for his betrayal of the sect during the war and harming one of the sect's three top experts, Luo Jian, had already caused an uproar in Ghost Ridge Palace, significantly lowering the morale. Now seeing Qi Shijian again, this time being brought back as a captive, these naturally cruel demon cultivators were eager to punish him harshly. Not just disciples. Several secret realm elders also watched Qi Shijian. The chilling murderous intent in their eyes settled on Qi Shijian, causing this once top disciple of Ghost Ridge Palace to tremble uncontrollably. Zhang Junwei's expression was somber, not a trace of warmth to be found in his eyes. "Why did you betray the sect?" Gazing at Qi Shijian, Zhang Junwei's dark eyes flickered with cold light, bone-chilling like being in an ice cellar. Qi Shijian opened his mouth but ultimately chose to remain silent. Seeing this, Su Jie added, "Sect Master, this man, in pursuit of the so-called Qingyin fairy, Mo Shiryao from Miaoyin Temple, was bewitched by such a despicable woman, losing his senses and betraying the sect without a word, running off to flatter and fawn. His actions have lost all face for our demon sect and wasted the cultivation the sect had invested in him." Upon hearing Su Jie's words, the surrounding disciples looked at Qi Shijian with even more disdain. Upon hearing Su Jie demeaning Mo Shiryao, Qi Shijian immediately became agitated. Fairy Mo is knowledgeable, graceful, gentle, and virtuous. Not something a blood-soaked demon cultivator like you could understand. Nonsense. If she's willing to be in contact with you, there must be another plot, and you're too foolish to notice it. Xiao Fengyuan sneered coldly from the side, his gaze at Qi Shijian full of tragedy and hatred. "You vile demon cultivators. Fairy Mo made me leave the hell of the demon sect to prevent me from being trapped there. Her thoughtful intentions are something you all cannot understand." Qi Shijian was enraged. Even at this moment, he still insisted on his view, clearly delusional, repeatedly calling demon cultivators vile, seemingly forgetting his own origins. Ning Xinyue couldn't stand it anymore and interjected with a sharp remark. "You're so painstakingly protecting her. Yet since we captured you, your so-called Fairy Mo hasn't even asked about you once." Qi Shijian trembled, muttering to himself, "Impossible, absolutely impossible. How could Fairy Mo forget about me? She cares about me." By now, Zhang Tianjun, clearly understanding the situation, looked down at Qi Shijian on the ground, his deep, dark eyes filled with icy coldness. For a traitor to the sect, What should the punishment be? Please tell me. His voice was calm, yet it sent chills down one's spine with its sternness. The surrounding disciples began to suggest eagerly. Soul extraction and skinning are best. Boil him in hot oil. Let thousands of insects devour his body. Start with that first. The execution by sword and axe suits him. Have him slowly dismembered by 10,000 cuts, crushed into a pulp. Voices poured out from the mouths of the disciples, and Qi Shijian's forehead beaded with cold sweat, his complexion ashen. As a disciple of Ghost Ridge Palace, he certainly knew what he was about to face. Elder Guiyuan, you are the elder of the punishment hall. Did you hear what those disciples just said? Let this traitor understand the consequences of betraying the sect. Don't let him die easily. Let him feel the sins he has committed. Zhang Junwei shouted to the elder watching from the side, calling out the name of the elder from the punishment hall. The called elder from the punishment hall, Elder Guiyuan, stood up, his gaze venomous as a snake, cold and slippery, issuing a hair-raising laugh. He, sect master, rest assured, we at the punishment hall will take good care of him. He will be escorted back to the mountain gate, and the punishment will be administered daily for all to see. By this time, Qi Shijian had nearly collapsed. He stood up frantically, shouting, "Ha! Even if you kill me, what of it? You group of demon cultivators are doomed to fail. Fairy Mo will certainly triumph. Guanchao Pavilion is already mobilizing more righteous sects to join this war, and soon they will break through Ghost Ridge Palace, and she will avenge me." Upon hearing this, many disciples of Ghost Ridge Palace were suddenly startled. Now that Guanchao Pavilion and other 5 sects had Ghost Ridge Palace trapped here, could they withstand if several more joined? You will never see the Ghost Ridge Palace broken in your lifetime. Zhang Junwei snorted coldly, fury brimming in his eyes, his aura astonishing, the sand flying around him, and spiderweb-like cracks appearing on the ground. With the capabilities of the Taoist platform realm, anger invokes heavenly might. Human emotions simultaneously cause anomalies in heaven and earth. Looking at the surrounding disciples, Zhang Junwei continued, "As demon cultivators, we rest and survive in these steep mountains. These righteous sects have gone too far, failing to snatch our exotic treasure and even wanting to destroy our temple and annihilate our millennium-old heritage. Ever since our founding ancestor established the Ghost Ridge Palace, it has endured over 3,000 springs and autumns, survived countless wars and tribulations. Even the last great battle between right and evil 500 years ago couldn't bring us down. All the sects in Qingzhou joining forces think they can achieve that? With me, Zhang Junwei, still here, along with many elders and so many outstanding disciples like Su Jie and Xiao Fengyuan, the Ghost Ridge Palace has nothing to fear from a bunch of hypocritical men of the righteous path. Those elders don't even dare to enter our sect's territory. In this sect war, victory will surely be ours." Upon hearing this, the disciples gradually relaxed. Only the secret realm elders did not show happiness, for they knew the current situation was difficult. "There's no need to take him back to the mountain gate for punishment. Start here." Zhang Junwei commanded again, his disdain for Qi Shijian making him choose to execute him publicly right here. Upon hearing this, Elder Guiyuan decisively took a large cauldron from his storage bag, poured in hot oil, and raised a fierce fire. Qi Shijian's eyes showed uncontrollable fear, but no matter how he struggled, he couldn't escape his fate of punishment. Soon, accompanied by the crackling sound of the hot oil, waves of inhuman screams resounded. Elder Guiyuan controlled the fire and also preserved Qi Shijian's life. He couldn't let him die too easily when there were hundreds of rounds of torture waiting for him. Even after death, his soul would still be extracted to light the sky lantern. Many disciples witnessed all this and shouted with satisfaction, wishing for more rounds of punishment for such a traitor. Originally, due to the words of Qi Shijian, the morale had been somewhat chaotic, but now it began to rise steadily. After all, how could the words of a traitor thrown into a cauldron be trustworthy? Su Jie was indifferent to the scene. As a demon cultivator, he was long prepared for this. At this moment, Su Jie was standing from the perspective of Ghost Ridge Palace, having nothing to say about Qi Shijian. Zhang Tianjun glanced at Qi Shijian, then lingered on Han Ruyan for a while, finally shifting his gaze to Su Jie and others, and spoke, Su Jie, isn't it? Since the time you killed Du Xiaochang, I have heard your name. Taoist Qiu, you have nurtured a good disciple. This time you, along with Xiao Fengyuan and Zhu Qingya, did well capturing the traitor Qi Shijian and preventing such a traitor from living freely outside, tarnishing our demon sect's reputation. Although the current situation is turbulent, our Ghost Ridge Palace clearly rewards and punishes. Qi Shijian betrayed the sect and has already been punished. As for those who have merited, our sect will not overlook them. This is a disciple's duty. Su Jie knew the main event was coming and felt a slight joy in his heart. Last time for killing Du Xiaochang, the reward of the heavenly poison treasure wood tree fruit allowed the thousand-handed centipede to undergo one spirit refining and obtain two abilities, the Death Decline Curse Cloud and Defense Scales. He wondered what reward the sect would offer this time. Taoist Qiu stroked his beard and said, Sect Master, my disciple has only done some trivial things, which are his duty. Since I started teaching him over the years, I have always emphasized that the sect comes first, from being an outer disciple to advancing to an inner sect, and even till today, I have never slackened in this teaching. Taoist Qiu seemed humble but was actually boasting. The surrounding secret realm elders were rolling their eyes secretly and were truly envious. Listening to Taoist Qiu's words, instructing Su Jie for just a few years had nurtured such a powerful disciple, who stood at the pinnacle of all the Ghost Ridge Palace disciples and whose promotion to the secret realm was almost a certainty. This would greatly benefit an elder's status within the sect. As the saying goes, once a teacher, always a father. Even in a demon cultivation sect, this master-disciple relationship was extremely solid and close-knit. Qingya, you've done well this time. On the other side, Tang Peiqing, the senior elder, was also nodding and smiling. Ning Xinyue had taken part in this mission due to his arrangements, and to his surprise, she had truly brought him honor. Master, I was just helping out the two brothers. Ning Xinyue was curious, imitating Su Jie, wondering what rewards would be given. To serve the sect is my duty as a disciple. Xiao Fengyuan bowed. His mentor had sacrificed himself in this sect war, and now he was the strongest in his lineage. If he were promoted to the secret realm in the future, he would inherit the disciples of the former lineage and become their new master. There's no need for modesty. We have rules of reward and punishment. Zhang Junwei took out a storage bag and from it he retrieved 3 bottles. The bottles of extremely high purity allowed one to see a single elixir inside each. The elixirs were brimming with life force, and their spiritual radiance, bright as the midday sun, with fiery red patterns emitting dazzling luster. In the air, the temperature rose, making steam rise as if golden flames were burning, leaving everyone around parched and thirsty. This is the Rainbow Gathering Flame Pill, a top-grade elixir. You should have heard of it. Zhang Junwei used spiritual power to float the jade bottles in front of the 3 as a reward for capturing Qi Shijian. The Rainbow Gathering Flame Pill, Sect Master, is indeed generous. Distributing 3 at once, if only I had one. Even junior sister Zhu, who's new to the sect, has one. I should have joined Brother Su's team back then. You wish to go, but others wouldn't want you. With your mere 5th level of Yunling realm cultivation, Brother Su would not look your way. Then why does he take a liking to junior sister Zhu? Is it because she's flirtatious? I can do that too. My figure is much better than that little girl's. What Brother Su and the others deserve, only such strong individuals are worthy of the Rainbow Gathering Flame Pill. The surrounding disciples watched the scene with eyes filled with envy and jealousy, wishing they could replace Su Jie to obtain such a precious elixir. Thank you very much, Sect Master. Su Jie's face lit up with joy instantly. This Rainbow Gathering Flame Pill being a top-grade elixir, it was something only those at the Taoist platform realm could refine, requiring several months of preparation and the use of many rare and hard-to-find materials. The main purpose of this elixir was to enhance cultivation and enlightenment. Only disciples at the Yunling realm level can consume it, and each person can only consume it once. It may look ordinary, but this elixir has a domineering aspect. If swallowed, it can increase the chances of breaking through to the secret realm by 50%. Its main function is to temporarily simulate the bodily conditions and changes of the secret realm, providing a template for comparison, thereby helping one understand the path ahead and increasing the likelihood of breaking through to the secret realm. This level of elixir is not even available in the black market, with prices amounting to tens of thousands of spirit stones, and they are essentially priceless. After all, this type of elixir that unreasonably enhances the chances of breaking through to the secret realm is excessively domineering. The difficulty of concocting it, along with the rarity of the materials used, is extremely high. Within Ghost Ridge Palace, only Zhang Junwei is capable of refining it, and it was also distributed in the past, rewarded to senior inner disciples who have made significant contributions and have the potential to advance to the secret realm. Sometimes not even a single pill would be bestowed in 7 or 8 years. To take out 3 at once as a reward, Zhang Junwei was indeed making a generous investment. When Su Jie saw the Rainbow Gathering Flame pill, he had a premonition that it might be because of his cultivation level that Zhang Junwei made such a decision. Because Su Jie's cultivation level was precisely at the 9th level of the Yunling realm, once he advanced his cultivation to the 10 levels, and after swallowing the Rainbow Gathering Flame pill, at that time Su Jie could begin to attempt the breakthrough to the secret realm. Break through to the secret realm as soon as possible. Your divine soul has exceptional talent. I hope you can reach even greater heights. Only when you reach the secret realm can your divine soul combine with your spiritual power and physical body to truly unleash your power. Zhang Junwei's voice was calm. For Ghost Ridge Palace as it stands today, although the Rainbow Gathering Flame pill is precious, the combat power of a secret realm elder is far more invaluable. He bestowed the Rainbow Gathering Flame pill as a mark of his confidence in Su Jie and Xiao Fengyuan. Especially for Su Jie, he had already seen through the existence of Su Jie's primordial spirit. This type of achievement of primordial spirit in the Yunling realm, he had only seen in those great sects. Because disciples with such talent would naturally not choose to join a desolate demon cultivation sect. Just look at those righteous sects where there often are supergeniuses with divine bodies, sacred bodies, immortal bodies, and the like. Even the top disciples of Ghost Ridge Palace, such as Luo Jian, Qi Shijian, and Xiao Fengyuan, do not possess divine body aptitudes. It's because the truly good seeds have all gone to righteous sects. Now that his own sect has acquired an immortal seed, it naturally requires proper cultivation. Once Su Jie reaches the 10 levels of the Yunling realm and swallows the Rainbow Gathering Flame pill to complete his breakthrough, by then Ghost Ridge Palace will have gained a new warrior in the secret realm, and not just any warrior but a formidable one within the realm. This is an incredibly important addition to their current situation at Ghost Ridge Palace. Disciple will not let you down and will achieve the secret realm as soon as possible. Then, I'll kill more of those hypocrites from the righteous sects for the sect, alleviating its worries and resolving its troubles. Su Jie vowed. Upon hearing Zhang Junwei's words, Su Jie knew that the existence of his primordial spirit had not been concealed from the other. With Zhang's eyesight at the Taoist platform realm, discovering this was not surprising. I feel the same, and I thank the sect master, said Xiao Fengyuan gravely, storing the Rainbow Gathering Flame pill in his bosom. Sect master, I will make good use of it? Ning Xinyue said joyfully, as she had not anticipated getting her hands on such a Rainbow Gathering Flame pill. Her cultivation was also close to the pinnacle of the Yunling realm, so she'd be able to consume the pill quite soon. All right, let everyone disperse. Su Jie, come with me, said Zhang Junwei with a nod, instructing Su Jie and then walking towards a tall tower. Su Jie stood up, followed Zhang Junwei's steps, and entered the obsidian tower. The tower was constructed primarily of moonlight crystal soul, or supplemented by a vast quantity of precious mineral materials. At the very heart of the tower, what maintained its operation were top-grade spirit stones. One should know a single top-grade spirit stone could be exchanged for 10 mid-grade spirit stones, and 1 mid-grade spirit stone was worth over 100 low-grade spirit stones. In other words, 1 top-grade spirit stone could be exchanged for over 1,000 low-grade spirit stones. The mere cost to build such an obsidian tower was an astronomical figure that even Su Jie dared not contemplate. The 3 towers were arrayed in a character pin shape, forming the mountain protection array that defended the entirety of Ghost Ridge Palace. Now, in a state of war, the mountain protection array was operating at full strength, and the maintenance costs alone were swallowing up untold numbers of top-grade spirit stones each day. When the cannon fires, 10,000 taels of gold are spent. War, no matter which world one is in, is always a gold-devouring beast. It seemed that even with Ghost Ridge Palace's long-standing heritage, such a war would eventually be unsustainable. In terms of financial resources, how could Ghost Ridge Palace, struggling to survive hidden among the mountains and forests, possibly compare with the righteous sects that occupied spiritual mountain-blessed lands, especially when facing multiple adversaries? Aside from Su Jie, the others who entered the tower were Taoist Qiu and Tang Peiqing, both of whom had been summoned by Zhang Junwei. Su Jie, seeing this tower, what goes through your mind? Zhang Junwei asked, hands clasped behind his back as he walked. Su Jie understood that he was being tested. After pondering for a moment, Su Jie replied, Sect Master, our sect is struggling to maintain itself, with vast resources being consumed. However, I believe that those righteous sects are also not having an easy time. Offense always consumes more than defense, and besides, we have the geographical advantage. This is our home ground. We will surely hold out until victory. Su Jie's response was standard and also reflected the mindset that had enabled most disciples to persevere, the hope that they could outlast the righteous sects until they retreated of their own accord. Tang Peiqing chuckled. Many people think we can't hold out, but you seem quite confident. Taoist Qiu, without participating in the conversation, began to prepare tea, taking out a tea table and cups from his storage bag and busying himself with the leaves. Zhang Junwei's expression remained unchanged as he said coolly, You do have a way with words. If only things were as simple as you say. I am but a humble disciple with limited abilities, currently at the Yunling realm, unable to contribute significantly to the sect's war efforts. Enough with the modesty. Having achieved a primordial spirit at the Yunling realm, you are the most outstanding disciple Ghost Ridge Palace has seen in recent years. If you are considered dim-witted, then the other disciples do not even deserve to cultivate. Zhang Junwei cast Su Jie a couple of glances before walking over to the window of the tower and pushing it open. Was this 5th-grade fierce ghost obtained from the Heavenly Soul sect? He directed his gaze below the tower, where the ghost bride, Han Ruyan, stood silently, resembling a statue. With his discernment, he could naturally see the extraordinary nature of the ghost bride. However, with his own cultivation at the Taoist platform realm, he had no intention of coveting his disciples' possessions. Besides, fostering ghosts did not align with his path of cultivation, as he was not skilled in nurturing ghost entities. Yes, Sect Master. I was actually planning to report to you that Heavenly Soul Sect has been causing disturbances throughout Qingzhou as of late. In executing our current mission, Su Jie recounted everything he had experienced in East Victory City, naturally omitting some secrets automatically. After listening, Zhang Junwei nodded indifferently and said, Heavenly Soul Sect. I've been aware of their existence since they entered Qingzhou territory. Our Ghost Ridge Palace has been in Qingzhou for so many years, and we do have such intelligence. Over a year ago, Heavenly Soul Sect's mountain gate in Jingzhou was destroyed by various righteous sects, forcing them to flee with a group of disciples to Qingzhou. Their sect mainly deals with Yin souls and fierce ghosts. They are not the same type of demon cultivators as us. Of course, it's a good thing that you can learn their methods. With your talent, having a wide range of skills does not burden you, nor does it cause your cultivation of our sect's techniques to progress slowly. It's always good to have more abilities. Zhang Junwei said this and shook his head. Speaking of which, we also took a disaster off their backs. Those from Heavenly Soul Sect act arrogantly. The righteous sects of Guanchao Pavilion were planning to clean them up, but later, because of the war with our sect, it actually made it inconvenient for them to spare the effort to deal with Heavenly Soul Sect. This Heavenly Soul Sect is quite lucky. No wonder they have been so arrogant recently. Su Jie was clear in his mind that besides this reason, it was also because Heavenly Soul Sect currently had no base, existing entirely like roaming bandits. Heavenly Soul Sect could pack their bags and run without the slightest psychological burden if they couldn't win a fight. On the contrary, provoking them could easily bring about retaliation from Heavenly Soul Sect. If they weren't ethical in martial combat and specifically sent Hidden Realm Elders to attack ordinary disciples, such tactics would ensure that no sect could endure for long. It's the principle that the barefoot are not afraid of those with shoes. As long as I'm poor and desolate, anyone who touches me will be troubled. Ghost Ridge Palace can't do this. You can run away from the monk, but not the temple. With such a large sect located here, where could they possibly run to? Not to mention, Ghost Ridge Palace consists of goo masters who rely heavily on the Insect Valley, a special and fierce place. Without Insect Valley to supply poisonous insects, not only the disciples but also the elders would be ruined. While Heavenly Soul Sect mainly cultivates fierce ghosts and een souls, killing wherever they go. Fierce ghosts can be captured from the wild, or they can capture living people to refine. Een souls are even easier. Just kill and perform soul extraction. Civilians are easy to catch for this purpose. Heavenly Soul Sect may not be an unwelcome aid for us. Zhang Junwei seemed to have thought of something and suddenly spoke out this sentence. Sect Master, are you thinking of aligning with Heavenly Soul Sect? Su Jie immediately understood Zhang Junwei's intention. Ghost Ridge Palace and Heavenly Soul Sect were both demon cultivators, which naturally provided a basis for an alliance. Tang Peiqing also pondered and said, "That's indeed a good idea. Nowadays, our Ghost Ridge Palace is not living comfortably, and Heavenly Soul Sect is the same. They occupy Nanyang City, Lantai City, Tan City, and Pinggu City, absorbing fear emotions, seeming to be doing okay. But in reality, once the righteous sects of Qingzhou figure it out, they can easily take down those cities and rescue the civilians. Then they'll have no choice but to flee, and even if they can kill along the way, excessive conspicuous actions will lead them to be pursued and cornered." Zhang Junwei had quite an understanding of Heavenly Soul Sect, even knowing about their occupation of those cities in detail. Taoist Qiu frowned and said, "That involves several righteous sects. I'm afraid those from Heavenly Soul Sect may not agree to get involved in this murky water. It's all about interests. As long as the benefits are sufficient, there's no worry they won't join in." Zhang Junwei's eyes lit up with a wise glint as if he already had an idea, and he continued, "Heavenly Soul Sect's original mountain gate was destroyed. They definitely also want to find a new base, as wandering endlessly is not sustainable. We can promise to help them find a foothold. In Qingzhou, we understand the lay of the land better than these outsiders. The sect master speaks the truth. Without a base of operations, we may appear free, but in reality, the hearts of our sect members will become increasingly unstable, and the sect's power will become dispersed. Over time, the entire sect could dissipate." Tang Peiqing made his comment, noting that a sect without a piece of territory, constantly drifting about, lacking resources like spirit fields and spiritual minds, can only scatter and flee when danger strikes. The sect would be like bandits and marauders, capable only of short-lived triumphs. Without a territory, the sect is like a body without a spine. Few organizations can endure under such circumstances. Take Heavenly Soul Sect, for example. Should danger arise and the troops scatter, those Hidden Realm Elders would be leading their teams alone. In time, each would inevitably foster ambitions of their own. Whether they would still heed the Heavenly Soul Sect's commands, or even betray the sect's interests for their own safety, that becomes uncertain. Sect Master, if needed, I can make a trip to the Heavenly Soul Sect. Tang Peiqing volunteered, as Zhang Junwei couldn't leave at such a critical time. His experience was deep enough to represent Ghost Ridge Palace in negotiations, an eminently suitable choice. Then I'll leave this matter to you. We'll need you to take a trip once we've devised our strategy. Understood, though it seems we'll likely have to promise some of our sect's interests. Right now, what Ghost Ridge Palace needs is to survive. Minor losses of interest are, indeed, bearable. Zhang Junwei's eyes gleamed with divine brilliance as he gazed upon the majestic mountains standing tall amidst the gray miasma. 50 years ago, I received the position of sect master from my master, and have diligently maintained this legacy. Unfortunately, due to difficult times, I failed to protect Ghost Ridge Palace as my master entrusted to me, letting the situation deteriorate to this extent. Zhang Junwei fell into reminiscence, his voice filled with melancholy. When I first took over, I also dreamed of making Ghost Ridge Palace more glorious and powerful, but it seems I lacked the talent. To this day, not only have I struggled to expand it, but even preventing its destruction is extremely difficult. I have let down my master. Fortunately, our Ghost Ridge Palace has successors, with disciples emerging in each generation, having disciples like Su Jie, as well as Zhu Qingya, who impressed from the moment they joined. As Zhang Junwei spoke, he suddenly shifted the topic to Su Jie. Su Jie said nothing, listening to Zhang Junwei's narrative. I tell you this in hopes that you will grow quickly. This sect is mine and also belongs to the younger disciples, but ultimately, it will be yours. With your talent, one day you may take over my position. Reaching the Taoist platform realm is a very promising prospect for you. Zhang Junwei suddenly changed his tone, his piercing gaze fixed on Su Jie, his eyes full of earnest affection. Taoist Qiu's expression was somewhat peculiar. His tea-making slowed down as if he sensed something, and his gaze flitted between Su Jie and Zhang Junwei. Disciple will adhere to his duties, take Ghost Ridge Palace as his own responsibility, and wholeheartedly strive to enhance Ghost Ridge Palace, not letting down the sect master's expectations. Upon hearing this, Su Jie immediately showed excited agitation, his face flushing, a perfect portrayal of a disciple who is impulsively excited to be valued. Yet in his heart, Su Jie was exceedingly cautious and calm. He did not take Zhang Junwei's grand promises seriously. The thought of one day becoming sect master never crossed Su Jie's mind as something feasible. The words of a demon cultivator were just that, words, much like a boss promising shares and wealth upon a company's IPO in exchange for overtime and hard work. The goal being to make the workhorse labor more and endure more, resulting in an endless consumption of hardship. To Su Jie, these words from Zhang Junwei were all empty promises. Tangible benefits would be more persuasive. It's good that you think this way. The future of Ghost Ridge Palace will depend on you young people. Zhang Junwei was very pleased with Su Jie's reaction, unaware of what Su Jie was truly thinking. Our Ghost Ridge Palace lacks disciples with your level of awareness. Given your high talent, I would like you to become my direct disciple. What do you say? At that moment, Zhang Junwei finally revealed his true purpose. He wanted to recruit Su Jie as a disciple, even as a direct disciple. Sect Master, this is not appropriate. Taoist Qiu, sensing his suspicions confirmed, became anxious immediately. For many hard years, only Su Jie, a talent, had emerged from his branch. He was the face of their lineage. If Zhang Junwei were to recruit him, what would that make him? There was a way to poach people, but surely not like this. Sect Master. This does not quite conform to the rules. Tang Peiqing did not stand by the Sect Master either, because this way of freeloading was somewhat excessive. Tang Peiqing had even more seniority than Zhang Junwei, and his words carried great weight. Zhang Junwei, looking at the two dissenters, said indifferently, "Of course I know this is not quite suitable, but now the sect is in a time of crisis, and we need to quickly cultivate our lower-level fighting force. Su Jie is exceptionally talented, and under my guidance, he could grow faster. You are senior elders of the sect. Why not first listen to what Su Jie thinks?" After Zhang Junwei finished speaking, he turned his gaze to Su Jie. Taoist Qiu and Tang Peiqing also looked over at the same time, putting a lot of pressure on Su Jie. Had it been any other disciple hearing such good fortune, they would have been overjoyed and eagerly agreed on the spot. Being the direct disciple of the sect master of Ghost Ridge Palace, what an honor it was. Walking out from there, one could look down upon others, and anyone who saw them would have to look up in admiration. But upon hearing this, Su Jie appeared to struggle internally, faced the gazes of the three, and then said, "Well, sect master, forgive my disrespect, but I have no intention of changing allegiances for now. My master has been very kind to me. I want to continue learning from my master." "Good, good, good. You truly are my good disciple. your master has not treated you in vain." Hearing this, Taoist Chiu immediately showed a smile on his face. His gaze even involuntarily glanced at Zhang Junwei, as if to say, "Kid, competing with me for a disciple, even if you are the sect master, it's useless." Su Jie quickly said, "Master, you are too kind. I always remember your grace." For Su Jie, agreeing to Zhang Junwei would definitely offend Taoist Chiu. Respecting the master and valuing teaching were also prized within demon cultivators. Changing allegiances for Su Jie would be like slapping Taoist Chiu in the face. Others would merely say Taoist Chiu was inept at teaching, unable to even keep his most talented disciple. And Taoist Chiu had been generous with Su Jie, who did not want to be the subject of gossip and dislike, and least of all to offend the senior and powerful elder. Furthermore, to speak frankly, Ghost Ridge Palace was indeed in danger now. If the righteous sects really did break through the mountain gate, the significance of being an inner disciple versus being a direct disciple of the sect master and targeted by those righteous sects was night and day. The former might even be spared, for after all, having killed an important figure like Du Xiaochang and made an enemy of the Guanchao Pavilion, the latter would be chased to the ends of the earth. Multiple sects would join forces to eradicate him completely. After all, the temperament of demon cultivators for revenge was infamous. Those who became direct disciples of the sect master undoubtedly had the highest talent in the sect and the deepest affection for it. If such a person escaped, once they grew stronger and sought revenge, the whole sect would suffer tremendous loss.